call the August 9th, 2012 meeting of Amenia Town Board to start the meeting.
I'll second that. Oh, or I'll make that motion. I'll make the motion.
That's okay. Motions. Vicky. Motion. Vicky. Jamie. Councilwoman Reamer.
Here.
Councilwoman Brody.
Here.
Councilman Haas.
Here.
Councilwoman Doyle.
Here.
And Supervisor Flood.
Yes, here.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence for the military that's serving this country and in this country and out of this country, and the unfortunate ones that did not make it back. The exit door is in the back. First, we have a public hearing, which we can open, in the motion to open the public hearing for local law number 4.
I'll second.
Who made the motion, Vicky? You made the motion?
Notice of public hearing, take notice of the Town of Amenia. The Town Board of the Town of Amenia will hold a public hearing at the Town Hall, 4988 Route 22, Amenia, New York, on August 9th, 2012 at 7 o'clock p.m. on proposed local law number 4 of 2012, entitled A Local Law Adding Chapter 113 to the Town of Amenia Town Code, entitled Vehicle and Traffic. Take further notice of copies of the said proposed local law will be available for the examination of the town at the Town of Amenia Town Hall, 4988 Route 22, Amenia, New York, during normal business hours on all business days between the date of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Take further notice that all persons interested in citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard on said proposal at the time and place aforesaid, dated Amenia, New York, July 12th, 2012. Patty Barron, Deputy Town Clerk. Any public comment?
Jim Fraley. Here tonight, I'd like to find out, Bill, I've asked you on this question on the transfer station many times.
Hold on, this is just for the, this law.
Just for what?
The
This
law.
For your law, all right.
Okay, we'll get to you in a minute.
We'll get to you in a minute.
Well, I have a public comment. I had some calls and I've had people approach me about they're concerned about this local law, especially about with the gross total weight of 10,000 pounds or more, which is, I guess, the size of a small pickup. People are concerned about the increased amount of truck traffic that will be going through the town of Amenia if they're not be able to use that road. It's hard enough going in and out of the post office now, and people, that is a concern of some people. I wasn't sure how exactly we came to the 10,000 pounds or more. So I thought we were.
That's the county, right? The county highway?
Yes.
The county highway?
Turn the page.
Because there is a concern about increased truck traffic going up through the center of town.
You want to raise higher?
I don't know how the 10,000 or 5 ton, right?
Yeah.
I recommended 15 ton, which I thought was going to be a little bit low too. These tractor trailers are weighing 60, 70 tons.
So we should go higher? I I mean, the whole point, I believe, was to have the trucks that have the greatest amount of weight to avoid the road and not damage the culvert, not any truck.
Well, a pickup truck would be considered, well, over 10,000 pounds, right? No.
Well, who came up with the 5-ton?
I think the attorney talked to the county highway. Unfortunately, he's not here yet, but I believe that's where that came from.
It was my understanding that, wasn't that this written for that road that needs the culvert?
Right.
Which wouldn't mean every road in town.
Just that one road.
That's what I understood.
Yeah, but it's 10,000 pounds or more. I mean, that kind of takes
On the Sharon Station Road.
a lot of roads, a lot of trucks. I mean, I thought the idea,
Well,
what
it
we
doesn't
wanted to
bother-
do is to have the trucks that were, you know, had a great deal of weight that were damaging the culvert. So,
On Sharon Station, but you mentioned other,
no, I
Oh,
just
just-
said, well,
okay.
if they don't go on Sharon Station, then they're gonna come up through Amenia.
I see, that's what.
And that's what the concern is, so,
Well, that's a state road, that, we have no control over state road.
I know, but if we take away everybody going on a town road, they're gonna, you know, use
Who's
the
saying
state
everybody?
road. Not everybody, but 10,000 pounds, that covers pretty much everything.
There's no pickup truck that weighs 10,000 pounds.
I know, but I'm just wondering, should that be higher, or, I don't know. I just don't know where we came up with that amount, and if it was the right amount, before we go ahead and, you know, put the law in place.
Oh, Ian, was it Ian involved in this? So
Yep.
we should probably ask how that came about, how that number came about.
Yeah, if you read the thing, it says, the restrictions contained in 113-3 shall not be construed to prevent the delivery or pickup of merchandise or other property on streets and or highways from which such vehicles and combinations otherwise excluded. In addition, shall apply to the following vehicles: any vehicle owned and operated by municipality, local or state government agency in which such vehicles engage in performance of official duties. Vehicle owned by public utility company will be engaged in performance of repair, maintenance, and installation work. Any vehicle engaged in providing emergency health care or treatment or providing fire protection. So I think
And it names only Sharon Station Road.
that's it.
And so the question is, where did the number 5 times?
10,000 pounds or more.
In the, Wait.
Where did it come from?
Yes.
From the county, correct?
No, it's in the statute. Under the vehicle and traffic law, the statute that gives the town the authority to impose regulations on vehicle weight. There's a provision that allows for the establishment of a truck route. And I think it's in there that it has the 10,000 pound limit. I just used that. The idea was, my understanding was that you wanted to restrict the road from large trucks that do damage to it or excessive damage to it by weight. And it was,
An arbitrary number.
it was somewhat arbitrary, yeah. It is the weight that is in the statute, in another provision in the statute. You're permitted to restrict, for anything. So if the board were to find that there was another weight that was more appropriate, you could do that. You can't restrict, you can restrict more than the state is allowed to restrict, but not less, that's my understanding. statute.
So it would have to be at least 10, but can be more.
You could have it more, correct?
Stanley, just for perspective, what, like some of your trucks, what do they weigh?
The brand new one we just got empty is 30,000 pounds, 15 ton, empty.
So I guess this question, so 50, if we were to increase it to 15 tons, would you want a truck that big if we're concerned about traffic on that road? Would you want a truck that, other than for town business, would you want a truck that big?
Which there's an exception for written into the
Yeah,
local
exactly.
law.
So,
So that was the reason I made it that, you know, that lower amount, we do have a lot of exceptions for local deliveries and for any municipal vehicles.
Agriculture, that doesn't affect agriculture.
I didn't think about that, you know. That's something I'd have to, arguably, you may not be able to restrict.
it'd probably be exempted, so.
Right.
You okay with the 10,000?
I'm okay with it, yes.
All right. Any motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make
Any
the
other
motion.
comment, I guess, from the board?
I'll second the motion.
Vicky. Councilwoman Reamer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parodi,
Yes.
Councilman Haas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle,
Yes.
and Supervisor Flood.
Yes. This is resolution number,
This is going to be 48. We're going to do the seeker first.
the application is sponsored, Town of Amenia. Location, adoption of local law adding vehicle and traffic law, Town of Municipality, Town of Amenia Dutchess.
No.
Proposed action is new. The adoption of local law entitled a local law adding chapter 113 to the Town of Amenia Code.
Do you have the seeker?
No, that he's going to the,
Oh, you're doing that? Okay, I'm sorry.
We're gonna get there in a minute.
Okay.
You just want me to read the second part, or you want the whole thing?
Second part.
Does action exceed any type 1 threshold in 6 NYCRR? No. Will action receive coordinated review as provided for unlisted actions in 6 NYCRR? No. Could action result in any adverse effects associated with the following? Answers may be handwritten if legible, existing air quality, surface or groundwater quality, quality of noise levels, existing traffic patterns, solid waste production or disposal, potential for erosion, damage, or flooding problems. No. Aesthetic, agricultural, archaeological, historic, or other natural or cultural resources of community or neighborhood character. No. Vegetation or fauna, fish, shellfish, wildlife species, significant habitats are threatened or endangered species. No. Only if they go through the road. The community's existing plans or goals is officially adopted or change in use or intensity of use of land or other natural resources. No. Growth, subsequent development related activities likely to be induced by the proposed action. No. Long-term, short-term, cumulative, or other effects not identified in C1-C5. No. Other impacts including changes in use of either quality or type of energy. No. Will the project have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Is there likely to be controversy related to potential adverse environmental impacts? No.
Yeah.
resolution number 48 of 2012. Oh, this is secret from me?
Yes.
For local law number 4 of 2012, at a meeting of the Town Board of Amenia, New York, held at the Amenia Town Hall on the 9th day of August 2012 at 7 p.m. Town Supervisor William Flood called the meeting to order, and what's the second?
I'll second the motion, if you're making the motion.
Whereas at the meeting of the Town Board held on July 12, 2012, local law number 4 of 2012 was introduced by resolution number
39.
39 of 2012, and whereas the Town Board held a properly noticed public hearing and subsequently adopted proposed local law number 4 of 2012 as adopted local law number 4 of 2012 during the meeting held on the 9th day of August 2012, and whereas the adoption of a local law adding Chapter 13 to the Town of Amenia Town Code entitled Vehicle and Traffic is an unlisted action of New York State Environmental Quality Act seeker, and whereas the Town Board is the only involved agency for seeker review and is deemed to be lead agency for the review of the proposed action pursuant to seeker, and whereas the Town Board is considered a proposed action as defined in sections 617.2B and 617.3G of the New York Department of Environmental Conservation regulations, and whereas the Town Board has received one short environmental assessment form and the criteria contained in 617-7C of the DEC regulations, and 3, the text of local law number 2 of 2012 to identify any relevant areas of environmental concern. And whereas the Town Board has thoroughly analyzed the identified relevant areas of environmental concern to determine if the proposed action may have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and whereas the Town Board has reviewed and analyzed the proposed action in relation to the criteria set forth in section 617.7 of the DEC regulations, and whereas the following is its review and analysis, the Town Board has determined that the proposed action will have no adverse environmental impacts, and now therefore be resolved that the Town Board hereby declares itself lead agency for this action under seeker, and be it further resolved that the Town Board determines that the proposed action will have no adverse environmental impacts, and be it further resolved that the Town Board hereby adopts a negative declaration for the reasons articulated in the EAF. Patty Barron, Deputy Town Clerk.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilman Haas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Reamer.
Yes.
Okay, this is resolution
49.
49.
49.
Resolution number 49 of 2012, adoption of local law adding chapter 113 of the Town of Amenia Town Code entitled Vehicle and Traffic. At a meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Amenia held at the Town of Amenia Town Hall on the 9th day of August 2012 at 7 p.m., Councilman Haas, seconded by
Vicky Doyle, seconded.
Mm-hmm.
Move the following resolution to adopt a local law to be known as local law number 4 of 2012, entitled a local law adding chapter 113 to the Town of Amenia Town Code entitled Vehicle and Traffic. Whereas the following local law was introduced as local law number 4 of 2012 by resolution number 48 of 2012 at a meeting of the Town Board held on July oh, no, that's not right.
39.
39. By resolution number 39 of 2012 at a meeting of the Town Board held on July 12, 2012. And whereas a properly noticed public hearing was held before the Town Board during the workshop meeting on August 9, 2012 on local law number 4 of 2012. Now therefore be it enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Amenia as follows. And do we need to read the whole local law?
You can just refer to it, you don't need to read the entire, section, the entire local law.
I'll just outline section 1, statement of purpose and intent. Section 2, the Town Code of the Town of Amenia is hereby amended by adding chapter 113 entitled Vehicle and Traffic. It's the section that goes into the code. Section 3, the local law shall take effect immediately upon filing with the State Secretary of State. The foregoing resolution is voted upon with all councilmen and councilwomen voting as follows.
Supervisor Flood,
Yes.
Councilman Haas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle,
Yes.
Councilwoman Perotti,
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer.
Yes.
Okey-doke.
Okay, Jimmy, you're next.
As I started out before,
We have-
questions on the transfer station and what's going on. People have been asking, nobody seems to know. I've conferred with Bill a number of times, still got no answer as to when or if. I finally got an answer of yes, it's gonna be transferred over to Welch. What I'd like to know is when and what are these people supposed to do, these, our older citizens that can't afford to have Welch haul their garbage? They can't,
Well, that was never part of it, so.
what do you mean that's not part of it? That is part of it.
They're gonna run the same way you do, except they're gonna run it every day,
They're gonna run it every day.
every day.
And how can they do it every day and make money at it and,
Because they're in the garbage business, we're not.
well, for 3 days a week,
And we lose a fortune.
you lose a fortune? What becomes of the money that's left over after I get done, after we're dissolved?
What's that?
Where does that money go after we get dissolved?
To pay some bills.
Do our taxes get lowered next
Or
year?
offset
Because
taxes.
$60,000 is in there for that account, for on that line. I use half of that, and you're still telling me I'm in the hole.
You are.
I'd like to see how. I
Well, we've
mean,
gone over it with you before. Do you wanna come in and sit with Sherry and I tomorrow, or one day, make a call, make an appointment, we'll sit down and go over it with you.
I've been over it with Sherry, and she says, you're interpreting the numbers wrong. Like I said, I use 29,000, which is just under half of what's allocated to it. And I get no credit, it seems, for the metal money that comes in, the paper money that comes in. It all gets shoved into general funds, it doesn't get allocated or get credited to my account.
Yeah, that does get credit, but I don't know, you know, one month you made $100 in metal, right? You don't make a lot of money.
I make $600 every time I send that container in, Bill. It's not that much, but it's still 600, that's 1,200, about 1,800 a year. That should be accredited back to my line item, and it isn't, it's going into the general fund. And I've already contacted Sherry on that. She says it goes right into general fund, it doesn't go into my line item at all.
That's because it's revenue.
Or it's revenue, still should be showed up on my line item to offset my
Well,
expenses.
if you're looking at the total expenses at the transfer station, any revenue that's taken in should be taken into account for the overall numbers. It isn't
that's what I'm
with
saying.
what he's being shown. That's
It's
what
not
he's
being
saying.
shown.
Well,
That's
you know
the
what, why
problem.
don't you give us a call next week, and you and I and Sherry will sit down and go over it.
Very good.
But we're gonna move that transfer station.
All right, but have we got a date or anything that we can give these people? Because people
No,
are,
as soon as, you know, I've told you, as soon as I know what the Welsh is gonna go out to bid, it has to go out to bid again tonight.
Mhm.
Then it has to be rebid, the prices have to be bid, and that's one of the concerns the board has had in the past few days, so we're bidding it at the same prices. That's being done now. And, you know, well, someone else could bid it, there's no question. You know, if Welch doesn't bid it, it could be someone else. So the original intent was to have them run it there.
right?
But we are breaking our own zoning rules.
I understand
It's
that.
not allowed there.
I understand that.
So when we met with Kippy, originally, Victoria and I met with him, and he was gonna allow us to do it. And then, when he came to us at a public meeting, he said he wanted a zoning change, and if we were gonna be allowed to stay there, he wanted to hook it into his zoning change, and we can't do that.
Well, that's,
So we just can't do it.
Yeah,
And he
you
was
can't
told
do
that
it.
and he was told that from day one.
if you can
So-
do it, if you can't do it, you can't do it.
We can't do it. So,
Uh,
it's the board's decision to move it, and that's what they wanted to do. We've had some discussions, it's been going on for months, there's no question.
Oh, there's
We
no
have to-
question.
It's gotta come to a head here soon. We're unfortunately, DEC's involved, so unfortunately, their time is not as quick as ours. So that's, hopefully, but they're on board at this point. Anyway, I've had several discussions with them, and hopefully we can move it forward.
So we're still hanging by a thread.
By a thread,
You're
a
month to
frayed
month,
thread,
month to month right now, Jim.
Okay.
okay?
All right, thank you.
Any other public comment?
Tom Warner. Everybody knows me. We've had this ongoing thing about signs, and I don't know how you're being selective in which signs you want taken down and which can stay up. On the way up today, we have illuminated sign at the Shell station, which blocks the vision around the corner if you're gonna turn right. The sign is oversized and high, and yet nothing's been done.
Actually, we're in court, so at this point, I can have the attorney with Shell Station. It's Shell now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the corner right there.
What's that?
You had to drive by it. It's on the corner.
Right.
John Fenton served him with an appearance ticket.
Right.
I'm not sure what the status is now, if it's been in court yet or not.
I don't think it's come to court yet, but we have served them with that they're in violation.
Okay, it's
They've been in
just,
violation since day one, and they filed no site plan and so on and so forth. The sign is obviously too big. They've dragged their feet, so at this point, John did haul them into local court under Ian's watch, and maybe it can happen quicker, we can get them to resolve it.
okay, I just
We're
didn't
working on it.
notice any
Yeah.
movement. And it's, if I remember correctly, it's been a couple of years that they've been playing with it.
There was a period of time where they seemed like they were gonna agree to comply, and there were discussions with their attorney, and that never amounted to anything. So the town decided to prosecute them, and that's what they're doing now.
Okay. Now, how about the one at Passaic,
Which one?
the big blue sign?
The Wasatch project? I believe it has to come down. The sign itself has to come down. I know they did apply for, they got a temporary permit, I believe.
It's probably just
All right,
temporary.
it's just so big that,
Right, they had a temporary permit. I believe John gave them a permit.
okay,
to do
well, that's fine. I just didn't know,
Yeah.
and no one else does.
Yep.
Now, getting around to another issue. What is the turning radius of a fire truck?
Turning radius of a fire truck. I couldn't answer that. Depends on the size of the fire truck.
Okay, well, the largest one we have. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's requires quite a bit of distance. Where you extended that curbing out right across the street from your place.
Yeah,
The
Dollar
dollar
General.
store.
Yep.
I don't believe you can, even now, without any cars parked there, that the fire truck can make that turn.
Well, that came from the county planning. So, in the Town of Amenia Planning Board. So that was a requirement from the county planning that they put that curbing in there. If I understand, they're gonna restrike that lot differently. It's gonna be restriked. So the traffic pattern's gonna change. If
But
I-
it's still gonna remain there.
What, well, they just this blacktopped it today, and I think they're gonna resurface it, and then I think they're gonna right, am I on the
It's gonna be one-way traffic.
one-way traffic or something. I know they're gonna redo something there shortly.
Okay, it's just another eyesore, let's put it that way. Judge Manning can't get his trucks in there, so you'll be putting him out of business.
What's that?
Judge Manning said that he couldn't maneuver his trucks in there.
I've seen him maneuver them 100 times, so at this point, he seems to make it. That little sign out front though, that's disappeared, it's beat up, that
Pedestrian.
pedestrian sign. But that was a requirement for the county planning.
Okay,
So-
I don't care who it is, if you can't get through the street.
Well, and
It's
also,
bad.
well, I think if you've noticed before, people used to come in Mechanic Street and turn and flip around and go back out. So that stopped. I've noticed that some other, now they're going to where the old liquor store was, now they're flipping around in there and coming back out. So
Yeah, well,
it's gonna take people a little while to get used to it, obviously, but I think once it's restriped and redirected, it should be fine.
well, I'm kinda like the old dog, you know. You move something and it messes me up.
I haven't seen it really run over the curb yet,
Okay, it's that.
so.
This is for the,
Good evening, everybody. My name's Louise Lindenmeyer, and I'm the nurse practitioner down the way at Hudson River Healthcare, but I'm also the president of the board of Somos La Llave, which is a Latino advocacy group. We are planning, with the permission of the board, a harvest festival. It's our second one. We had one here last year, and it's the 23rd of September. It runs, which is a Sunday, it runs from 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and it will take place in the gymnasium, with your permission. We're having a band from New York City that I've known well for 20 years, a Latino band that will be playing. Then there's a tamale contest, which I encourage anybody to come and participate in. Last year, we probably had 8 different contestants. And then there's a harvest festival for a variety of vendors that may be interested in selling their, fall products. And beyond that, it's just a party, no alcohol. And I have a insurance rider here.
we have it.
Right.
You
I
have it too.
I have the application here.
Okay, so maybe there are some questions I can answer?
I have a question. I noticed on the application, required equipment, chairs and tables. Are you bringing all that with you?
Well,
We
that's,
have no tables and
last
chairs.
year we did. If there are chairs and tables here, which I think they're not, then
No,
we'll be
you'll have
doing
to
that
bring them
again.
again this
You'll
year
have
like
to
you
bring
did last year.
Yeah, okay, we'll do.
Is this, you say you have vendors. Do the vendors pay money to have their booths or whatever they're selling?
Yes, and that hasn't been organized yet, but it's a $10 fee for anybody to come to sell their wares. What we have a lot of is, at no fee, are some tables of services. Astor, Catholic Charities, workers' rights, information that would be useful to the community. And Gabriela Progman is the president, is the executive director, and so I'm taking her place because she's on vacation, so I can't tell you how organized that is, but that's what happened last year. We had probably 5 or 6 different social organizations.
And you had a
represented.
lot of people and a wonderful time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did. We had
It's a great
over
group of
100
people.
Pardon me?
It's a great group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just sort of nice to mix, the Latino population with the old timers or young timers or whatever, and so it's. And I think with the band that we had last year, I didn't particularly like them, but I think this year it'll be a lot more musical and artistic, and so I hope anybody comes.
It's open to the
Admission
general
is
public?
$5 for adults, and it's free for kids.
Okay. So it's open to the general public.
Absolutely.
And your signage, you'll have signage out front? or
Yeah,
how do you see
we
this
had a sign last year, and
Uh-huh.
I don't know, what is the policy about that? I think we had the sign the day of, I think we weren't really prepared for that. We had just gotten the word around by mouth and
You had
by
a sign
pamphlets.
outside, and that was fine.
Okay. Do you recall how long it had been there, or was it just one day, or had it been the week
I think
before?
it was the day you had the event.
Well, is there any problem in doing it in advance, 10 days or so? If it's the usual kind of sandwich board size? Is there a
I would
time
say
limit?
more like 5 days.
Okay.
I mean, that would be my recommendation. If you're having it on Sunday, you could put it up,
Tuesday or something like
Like
that.
Tuesday?
Mhm.
something where, and it's portable.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't even aware of it last year. I mean, it
Yeah.
just seemed like it happened and then it was
Right.
over.
Well, if you can advise me of any, I know there's the town sampler or something like that. Maybe there's other local means of publicity that
The
would be.
hometowner, you should put,
Hometowner.
you should,
And we have the Millerton News here.
yeah.
Our reporter is right here.
Okay.
Yeah, if you want to get the community involved with Latinos and get, you know, get that relationship going, I think if you advertise it, and it's, you know, certainly the hometowner, it's not advertising, it's mentioning that this is happening, and if you had some photos from last year,
Mhm.
I think that would be helpful.
Okay.
If you want a good turnout, I think that's
Yeah.
what you do. But you said there is a $5 charge to come in, or how do you do that?
Yeah, let me look back at the. I wrote the grant, so I should be able to remember this. We're asking $5 admission for adults 18 and over. Children will be free. Vendors pay a $10 fee for sales of foods and other goods.
And the proceeds go where?
To cover the expenses to
Okay.
Somos Layave. And I am assuming that we're paying something,
$25 fee.
yeah.
They've already paid it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I think in view of the fact we probably should just maintain the $25 fee for this. The fees will change in the future,
Uh-huh.
but we'll need someone to open and close it.
I usually do that.
You're gonna do that?
I
Okay.
did it last year.
Oh, thank you. And we do the cleanup.
Yes, they do. They
They clean
clean
up.
everything.
Okay.
How is the kitchen these days? Is it still as it was last year?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
mostly unusable.
Yeah. All right.
So I would suggest we, you know, keep the $25 fee.
Sure.
It's not much, but in case, I don't know, Victoria may not always be available to open this, or we have to have someone else come in,
They have good food, we'll be here.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, that's no problem.
Yeah, they've
$25
they've
is-
already paid the fee.
Sounds
so-
sounds like a great event.
Also, Aaron Bailey does a lot of work with these people
Mhm.
in this group, and they also have a garden up on Depot Hill, which is, it's incredible. You get a chance to go see what they've done. I think they feed 25 families, something like that.
Yeah,
25,
there's a lot
30
of
There's
families
a lot of people
involved.
that go up there and work every week. Also, we talked about, you know, we need picnic tables for the town hall and some of the parks and stuff like that. What we're trying to work out with these people, with some of these people who are carpenters, is if we buy the materials, they'll make the picnic tables, you know, so that they're not out of wood, recycled materials. So,
Oh.
we would pay them, we would pay for the materials, they would buy the stuff, and some kind of a fee arrangement would be worked out so that they would get their, you know, some money instead, in lieu of doing some other stuff and so on and so forth. So that's what we're in discussions also with. They have some pretty good carpenters working there.
Good,
So-
yeah, I don't know anything about that,
Right,
but that
that's-
sounds great.
Right, so that's what we're working on that also, so we can, you know, the picnic tables to buy them about $1,300, $1,500 a piece. So if we can save some money, we can get some stuff done here.
One little add-on is, at one point, I think you and I spoke about us at some point having an office here. I'm not quite sure where we're at with that, but I'm wondering where the board is at.
Talk to Aaron.
Okay, Erin Bailey.
Yep.
Okay.
So about an office here?
Well, she's gonna share the rec office upstairs,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that's something that probably could be used up there.
Okay. Good, thanks.
So do we need a motion? I sent out a email to everybody. If these things are done and the applications are filled out, do we need to vote on these things? Or can it just be, you know, scheduled and be done?
Last year it was scheduled and done
Right,
right through the clerk's office.
right. So that's what I'm saying, if they come in, they fill out the paperwork, they give you the insurance, pay the fees, whatever we come up with the fees, you know, I just think it's redundant to have the meetings and go over this stuff
But
again
it's
and
nice
again.
to have it circulated,
Right,
so that we
circulate,
know
right.
Well,
what's
they
going
should
on.
come, they should still come here and tell us what the plan is, so that.
Well, yeah, but if they write it down and we get in a copy of it, I think that should be sufficient. I would.
Whatever the board
Right.
chooses to do, if you want to.
Well, especially this, if it's repeated every
Right.
year, it just comes and it would be automatic, but it's nice to have it circulated so that we're, as a board, aware of activities here,
Yep.
that's all.
Okay? Thank you.
Yeah,
Highway Department report?
Do you want to go to resolution number 50 to re-advertise the transfer station?
Well, we'll do the highway report
We're going to
first.
do that first?
Yep.
Yes, we've been busy. We did some blacktop, shimming, probably about $47,000 worth. Today we did some tree cutting on Sharon Station, on Perry Corners. Had the bid openings yesterday. We had 21 bids for our yearly bid. I see nothing went down, but we'll have my recommendations next week for that. I want to touch on Mechanic Street. Back to Tom Warner's. That intersection is kind of busy intersection, and with the Cozy Corner open now, if two cars are parked in front of the Cozy, I know there's not much parking there, but it puts the car turning onto Mechanic Street into the other lane. So I think there should be no parking signs in front of that Cozy Corner. I remember the previous board, I think it was Catherine Dunlop, asked us to go paint the curbing yellow, because it is dangerous. Now that we have the curbing on the other side of the road, it even makes it worse. So I'd say it's time to put up a no parking sign there. Because you get two people parking there, it throws you into that other lane. And I talked to you about it, Bill, and
Yeah.
I think it's the right thing to do before we do have an accident. It is a busy intersection. We got the fire trucks, we got Judge Manning. So I recommend we put a no parking sign there. Maybe from the telephone pole back to the corner. On the state has it on both sides. Whether you go left or right, there's no parking signs there. And when people do park there, you can't see pulling out of Mechanic Street.
How many feet would you say that would be? 20 feet, 2 parking spaces, or?
No, probably 70 from the pole back to the intersection.
I'd like to go look at it.
Yeah.
I think it's,
Talking on Mechanic Street, parallel to Mechanic Street, on the Cozy Corner sign, the grass strip
Right.
with the telephone pole there, with the poison ivy growing, it's that grass strip right there. You don't want people parking there at the
Right.
intersection.
I would say,
Right.
I wouldn't go as far as the pole. I'd come in, maybe another car length from the yellow line. And that would be fine, because there's got to be some kind of place to park. We have no handicap parking
Right.
anywhere on the street. So even on Main Street, we have no handicap parking. So there's got to be some kind of place to get.
Well, I don't think that's a good place for handicap parking
Well,
right there.
There is no good place, but
Right.
unfortunately, there's got to be able to get people in and out of there somehow.
Right.
I don't want to lose everything. I agree with you, the one space in would be fine, but I'm going to the pole, I think it's a little bit much, but we can take a look at it, and we'll work it out with it.
I don't know how, the state has a lot more. I mean, the state has quite a bit out there on both sides. But-
Yeah, on the main road.
But it's something we ought to take a look at. Same location. I talked to Marco about the sidewalks and the blacktop. He said, well, talk to the board. Well, the sidewalk's been busted up since March 12th. When something has to be done with them sidewalks and that blacktop.
Yeah, the flood was there the other day. They said they're gonna come blacktop it. We're gonna do the sidewalk probably next week or two.
Okay, good, good. The next thing is the employee handbook. Where are we at with that?
I haven't heard a word from Jeff Travers, actually, but as soon as I'll send him an email in the morning and see where he is with that.
Okay,
He already sent it to us. Yes, you have. We all got it. He added that part that, our last meeting, that Stan wanted added for, the highwaymen to get 2 additional hours for, when they're called in.
oh, 2 hour minimum?
The 2-hour minimum, and he put that in.
I haven't seen it, so,
Well, I'll forward it to you, 'cause
okay.
I have it.
We've been
And-
working on that now for about a year and a half.
And he also sent us a sample resolution. And the only thing we needed to discuss as a board is the, insurance for retirees. And we were gonna look into the cost of that and then discuss that as a board.
Can you just circulate that? Because I didn't see anything about a resolution either.
Was that
Like him
recent?
for,
Was that recent? Because I didn't see anything
Yeah,
either.
I mean, how recent?
I don't know. I'll
Well,
have to go
anyway,
back
I
and
think,
look.
yeah.
I'll
I
make
think
sure
this-
everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get a copy either.
I don't remember it.
I didn't get it.
I don't remember seeing it. If I oversaw it, if I missed it, I don't remember.
That's the next thing. How did I get a new email address?
You have to use it. You have to use it, I guess.
Have
Wait,
to
what?
use it.
What was the
I
question?
know I got it first.
What's your new email address?
I don't really know.
MeniaNewYork.gov.
I think it.
Listen's telling me. She emailed me something last Friday and I didn't get it. I said, where'd you send it?
It's probably his name, right?
It's a different.
First initial.
Is it your name? I don't know. Because the new,
It follows the same format as all of your,
Yeah.
your emails with, wflood@MediaNewYork.gov.
However, you have to
So you
set
just
it
need
up,
to know how to
you
get
have
in
to set
there.
it up with
You have to set it
BAS
up.
because you need a password.
Ew, I don't need two email addresses. I have no problem.
I can email you the directions that I got initially, because I kept that separately for that reference, and I can email that to you so you know how to get into it and,
Sure. So
Get your
should I do
password.
it with my old one, the one I've had for years?
I think the idea was to have all of our town government business done on a separate email address, all in one place, so that if there's a FOIL or anything, all of that information is in one place, so that, now, you may use yours exclusively. He has his own website, or his own email address. He uses that exclusively for town highway business, right? No personal, no nothing.
Town highway, the county sends him everything on.
well, let me
the
check with
state.
BAS tomorrow. Maybe we can
Yeah.
adjust that one. Because I
Yeah.
didn't realize that you even had.
Because all the other highway superintendents, they have my email
Right.
address.
That's right, it takes
Well,
some-
it would
Yeah.
still, it should have rolled over anyway if they changed it. You should automatically have gotten it.
I didn't know I had one.
I don't think he got it. I'll send what I got from our webmaster who set that all up.
Okay. Well, let me talk to him. Maybe he can leave, maybe we can reset it, or we can leave his alone.
Yeah, the problem was that we were using our own email addresses often, which were mixed in with our personal
So they can
information.
roll them over.
Yeah, let me know about that. I
Okay.
only want one. Anybody have any questions or anything?
Oh, I have a question. There are several town garbage cans. I went ahead and bought a garbage can for Wassaic Park because the small little household garbage can was really inconsistent with the size of the park and the use that you expect around, let's say, Wassaic Project Festival. So I have a big trash can down there. I bought a padlock and a small chain, and I've padlocked it to the small, I've connected it to the small trash can area. So you can lift the lid off, it's all connected. But the question is who is really going to empty that? We also have one at the tennis court, and I assume that that is still being emptied by a volunteer. Welsh is coming and doing that. Okay. So who is going to do this? There's a short distance to the highway department's dumpster, so I'm happy to do it every now and then, but this is not really a long-term solution. So one thought was that came from a citizen is have the lawn mowing guy who goes and does the park every week, and during the heaviest usage would be the summer months, have that fellow write that into the specs so that the next person bidding on this mowing.
Does the town highway, do you guys pick up any garbage? We don't have any garbage cans on the
No,
street.
We have a dumpster at the highway garage, which
You
you
have
can
a
use.
dumpster.
The guys
It's
that work
available.
at Beekman are supposed to go down there once
Yeah,
a
well, that
week.
doesn't happen.
Can I answer that?
I think we need to,
Employee that is supposed to dump it, and he goes supposed to spend 1 day a week, which he's never been here.
Yes, he has been there.
But not consistent. My question is, can we put, other towns have dumps cans
Yeah,
on the streets.
right. Who empties those?
Like the village of Norton, the village does it twice a week. They empty them. They come through the truck. Huh? The highway.
So is that an appropriate thing for a highway to get involved in, or is that something that we could pay a kid in the neighborhood to do
Oh, no,
once a
that-
week?
well-
I mean, it's just so frustrating that we just don't have a system at all
Right.
for, unless Welsh wants to, how much do they charge to have a?
Free.
Yeah. I just,
they're
I
not
don't know,
over
we
there.
need an answer to
Right.
Wassick, and maybe it is the recreation person, I don't know. But, you know, it feels silly for me to go there once a week and be hauling that myself.
It's pretty rough.
It's
When
dirty.
we were using that little wooden one
Yeah,
to take it out of there.
I've picked the garbage up there 2 or 3 times myself from the, just from the, where the,
Quite a few years.
where the, not the swing sets, but on, yeah, I guess the swing sets where the, that other thing is in the back. You know, beer bottles, beer cans, garbage, cups.
you know, it's so close, maybe the guy doing the lawn mowing would have the kind of machinery and be dressed appropriately for moving that to that. I'm just saying in our specs.
Over in the morning, grabs the garbage. Is that something we can work out with you?
Probably,
Is that something? If it doesn't work, just let us know, and before we put out the new specs, and we'll
Do you think
do
you
plan
can buy
two.
some drums with the dome tops for garbage?
I think I've got one. Take a look down there. It's a large garbage bag. If it is emptied once a week, it should be fine. It should be absolutely adequate. If it isn't, then we can do Plan B, but it should be fine.
I mean, just for the summer months, during the winter, you put them away. So.
Yeah, if you could try doing that in August and see how that goes, and if that's a system that'll work, that's great. If it isn't, we need to have a Plan B, but right now we don't have anything that seems to work. It doesn't seem to be.
Who does Beacon Park?
That's a good question. I think that's
I think
Welsh.
the guys do that, and the Welsh picks it up. That's it. But there's garbage all over that place too. In the last, people have texted me pictures of beer cans in the dugouts, beer
Okay.
bottles, some of that stuff that's going on, garbage all over the place too. So, they're cleaning it. We gotta fix the fences, they're broken in certain spots here and there. So there's
That sounds like people going in after.
nah, well, it could be, who knows?
So we'll think about it at budget time, but maybe in the
Right.
meantime, you guys do that, and we'll reconnoiter and see
The
what the
picnic
long-term.
table down by Nelson Road Bridge, that's done had
Shot.
the course.
Right.
Had the course.
There is a cheap $100 clearance at Tractor Supply. I almost bought it myself, $100. It's off-white plastic. It's not great.
Right.
Off-white and steel. Let's just put it down there for an interim solution. That one has to go. It's a disaster. The wooden one that's down there is rotted through. I was embarrassed at Wassick Festival that we didn't have a better one, but there is
Well, I
one
was
for
hoping that these people
$100.
could make them out of, well, that's fine, if you wanna buy that for
You know,
$100,
just for
that's
a
fine.
short
But out of
term-
Trex or something that's recycled.
That's a long-term solution.
Long-term solution, so
Yep.
that way they don't rot.
This
We're
would be a
done.
short term.
Yeah.
Let's just get something in there and get the old one out of there. If you can pick up that old wooden one, get it out of there.
Yeah, I looked at it yesterday.
It's
Back's
shot.
all right, 'cause we replaced that,
Yep,
but
the table's gone.
shot.
Yeah, and it's not worth rebuilding. It wasn't out of pressure treated. There's no use saving it.
We'll scoop that one up.
Thanks.
You grab the other one? You grab the other one from
What?
Tractor Supply?
Charge it to you.
No. We don't have an account
We'll
there.
pick it up if you want.
Will you?
Who's gonna pay for it?
I'll pay for it.
We'll pay for it.
We have an account there.
And not a Tractor Supply.
Not Tractor
No.
Supply.
No.
Well, we should have.
What's the weight?
It's probably about 70 pounds, 80, 100 pounds.
Floating down.
I don't know. I didn't think it was that easy to.
It's heavy enough, they won't move.
It didn't feel that easy to move.
Throw it over and it'll float down.
Well, can you drive a stake in and do something?
I can pick one up tomorrow. I seen one yesterday when I was up there.
It's right in the middle. It's clearance.
Yep.
If it's not gone, it's worth $100 to us to get something down there.
Cheap. It was 140 for the wooden ones, instead of,
Yeah.
into the back.
Yeah.
They were 140.
All right.
All right.
Between you and I, we'll get it done.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you, Stanley. transfer station. Oh, town clerk, I'm sorry.
Okay, with Lana's help, I did submit a application to Dutchess County to reduce the speed on Dunn Road, and I'm waiting to hear back from that. My application to sell hunting license was accepted, so as of right now, I can sell a hunting license, and hunting season does start on the 13th, which is Monday. Zumba, she's coming back September 5th, and her first class is going to be free. One more thing I wanted to say, Maureen, who was the clerk, has handed in all her minutes. They were accepted by the board, so her obligation to the town is complete. So I'd like to say thank you, Maureen, for doing that. Good job.
I'd like to thank her too.
And that's it.
Good. Transfer station. We need to authorize the request for bids. Do we have to read this thing or no?
Not the specifications,
No.
just the resolution authorizing.
I don't, you have that, right?
Number 50.
I do.
I don't have that one. Do I have that one?
You should.
I've got it.
It's advertise the bids. Advertise the bids.
That's for Bill.
Okay, what's it, number 50?
Yes.
Resolution number 50, 2012, advertisement for bids for operation of the Amenia Transfer Station, facility located within the town of Amenia and owned and operated by the contractor. At a meeting of the town board of the town of Amenia held at the Amenia Town Hall on August 9th of 2012 at 7 p.m., Supervisor William Flood called the meeting to order, and seconded by councilperson and introduced by following resolution to wit. Whereas the town of Amenia currently operates a transfer station located at Roxbury Sand and Gravel on Old Route 22 between Wasake and Depot Hill Roads for residents of the town of Amenia town to transfer regular household trash, bulk trash, TVs, stereos, rugs, mattresses, sofas, couches, chairs, toys, etc., recyclable items including cardboard, bottles, cans, and other recyclables, leaves, brush, chips, and other accessible waste as determined by the town. And whereas the residents of the town currently must pay a permit fee as well as a fee based on the amount and type of waste disposed at the transfer station. Whereas the town currently collects all fees paid by the residents for the use of the transfer station. And whereas the town board has determined the cost to operate the transfer station currently exceeds the fees collected from residents who use the transfer by a sum of approximately $20,000 per year. And whereas the current location of the transfer station on Roxbury Sand and Gravel property requires a town board to be a tenant of Roxbury Sand and Gravel, and whereas the town board has determined that it would be in best interest of the town to have a private company operate and maintain the transfer station at a location owned and operated by such private company but still located within the town. And whereas section 120-W of the New York Municipal Law, GML, gives the town board the authority to enter into a contract for operation of the Amenia Transfer Station and to award such contract in accordance with the competitive bid requirements of section 103 of the GML. And whereas the advertisement for bids for the operation of the Amenia Transfer Station is a routine or continuing agency administration or management, which is a type 2 action that is exempt from seeker, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the advertisement for bids for the operation and maintenance of the Amenia Transfer Station as a facility owned and operated by the contractor and located within the town in accordance with the specifications and notice to the bidders attached hereto.
Supervisor Flood.
Yes.
Councilman Haas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Parodi.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Reamer.
Yes.
To authorize, did we authorize those people to use the gym? Or we did not?
You just said yes, that they could use the gym.
Okay, so that's done.
Yes.
Aaron Bailey with the Recreation, I think, wants to start a after-school enrichment program here, which I really don't have any. Do you have any more stuff to say, Vicki, about it?
It sounds like she's very enthusiastic.
Right.
It sounds like it'd be much like the Northeast Community Center has some after-school programs that offer kids who get done with school at 2 o'clock, you know, some other options for enriching their scholarly and, you know, just fun activities. She has lots of ideas and wants to work with kids, and she's got a very good background in it. She's worked with kids. She's taught school. She probably has a degree, obviously, and she's got great ideas, pages of ideas. My only worry is that she's so ambitious, but I think that's a good thing, and she can find what works and resonates with the kids, and I think it's worth supporting her in her efforts.
And I'll have her put some stuff together, forward to the board. I'll have her put some stuff together, forward
You
so
know,
everybody.
because I would like to know,
Right.
you know, that the kids are well supervised, how
Oh,
many
yeah.
people will be
Right.
there, you know, how
And
are
I
they
don't
gonna-
think she's
what
going to
age
know
groups?
until she,
Yeah,
like,
okay.
puts it out there and
Okay.
sees what the response is. But before she probably advertises that, it should probably come to us to get a sense of what
Yeah, so
she's
it'd be nice.
offering.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
yeah.
Okay, now we get to the one. Old Amenia landfill technical service change order number, sorry, let me just turn this down.
Did you get one of these? I have two. I guess this is what Liz is gonna talk about. Did you get this? I just got it, and she passed it out, so.
You can give one to you.
Do you need, I have one.
You have one, okay. You want, oh, you have one? Okay.
Liz, do you want to come up? I asked Liz to come tonight so she can bring us up to speed as to where we are with this landfill.
Hi, Liz Rovers. Did you want me to give you a summary of where things are at the Amenia Town landfill project?
Yep.
Okay. Initially, the contractor was required to install the sediment barriers in West Pond, and once the sediment barriers were installed, then the contractor was able to start working on the landfill. For approximately the last month, the focus has been to excavate the PCB contaminated soil that is at the landfill and do regrading of the landfill and excavate waste. There was some waste that went over the property line on the north side. That's been excavated. And if you have gone by the landfill recently, I'm sure you see that it looks a lot different. They had to cut back the slopes to maximum 30%, and that really has been the focus over the last month is, you know, getting the steep slopes cut back, getting the landfill regraded and shaped to be the maximum 30% and minimum 4%. We have encountered some additional waste on the south side of the landfill. The approximate limit of waste was shown at the tree line. The contractor was required to clear a certain distance back in order to facilitate the work, and we have encountered additional waste. I don't have a quantity yet from the contractor. Also, they have encountered a huge number of rocks. There's probably 200 some odd rocks that have been encountered. They've been encountered primarily in the southwest area of the landfill, but also just in general within the middle of the landfill. They also have encountered a lot on the south side. So where the waste extended past the approximate limit on the south side, there was municipal waste mixed in with these rocks that are on the order anywhere from a foot in diameter, a couple of feet in diameter, to 6, 7, 8 we even had a couple of rocks that were like 10 feet in diameter. So that is one of the things that the town has a need, I guess, for these rocks. Initially, we had only, maybe encountered a dozen or so, but then as they continued regrading the landfill, and they encountered more, and so there was almost like an underground fence of rocks on the south side of the landfill, just outside the limit. So one of the things is, I guess the town has an opportunity to use these rocks on a stream bank reconstruction project. And the contractor has, submitted a cost. If the rocks go off-site because they were, mixed in with the municipal waste, the New York State DEC is requiring that the rocks be washed off before they get taken off the property. So the contractor did submit a quote. I believe it's on the order of around $6,300 for them to wash the rocks off in place and then pick them up and load them into the town's truck. Now that price was based on them doing that for approximately for 100 rocks that are 3 to 4 feet in diameter. I guess the rocks that Stan needs on that project is they have to be 3 to 4 feet in diameter. So that is an option. The cost to the town would be 25% of that. The DEC will pick up the 75% cost as part of the state assistance contract. So I certainly, Stan can probably indicate what the cost would be if you had to purchase those rocks, new. That is something that if you want to go forward with, we can let the contractor know. And then Stan has indicated that he has a truck available and an operator next week, to start loading them and taking them off. Otherwise, because the contractor has, encountered waste that went outside of the limit on the south side and in the south east corner as well, the DEC has indicated that we can basically bury those rocks, back in that area where they are outside the limit of the landfill. We don't really want to have all those rocks within the landfill for slope stability, and there's just so many of them, and they'd have to be buried at least 4 feet deep. So the DEC has indicated that the rocks can be placed on the outside of the landfill cap in this area on the south side, and they would not have to be, they can be placed there. I talked it over with our geotechnical engineers and how they would be, backfilled. And so that is another way to basically deal with the rocks. So there's a lot of rocks that Stan, is not going to be able to use because they have to be within that 3 to 4 feet diameter. Otherwise, the contract and the work is progressing. The next thing that basically we're going to be ready to do is to start removing the contaminated sediment in the marsh area and in the open water area of West Pond. The contractor is utilizing a portable water inflatable cofferdam as the hydraulic barrier for the open water area. And in the southern marsh area, we recently got a quote from the contractor for removing the contaminated sediment in that area. The sediment is deeper in that area. There's basically soft silt and clay below the sediment. We did do some additional testing, and there's just 2 small areas that are approximately 30 by 30 and 1 feet deep. So there's about 70 additional cubic yards of contaminated sediment that has to be removed. Otherwise, because of the soft soil underneath, the contractor will be required to construct pass-out they are intending to use a long-reach excavator to remove the contaminated sediment that's, from the shoreline, what they can reach with the long-reach excavator. And then the further out areas that they can't reach with the long-reach excavator, they will end up building these, utilizing HDPE mats underlain by geotextile to create access ways for them to get out to the further out areas. So that is where things are at there. In regards to their quote that they submitted, we're in the process of reviewing that and expect to have that review done within the next couple of days. We will provide our findings. We're generating a list of items that we need to review with the town and feel need to be justified. There's some things that we feel are not justified. And so we're going through our review, and we will, review those with the town and the contractor and, come to a resolution on that. But in the interim, the contractor will be able to start removing the contaminated sediment on the north end. That has been okayed with the DEC. The only thing is they will be required to keep the hydraulic barrier in place until the southern portion is remediated as well. We have had various, really bad storms in the Amenia area, and to make sure that, none of the contaminated sediment in the southern area would be displaced, from a storm event into the cleaned northern area. They're going to be required to maintain the portadam in place in the northern area until the southern area is cleaned up as well. So the contractor has included 2 months rental within their bid, and they have requested an additional cost for rental for an extra month if it is needed for if it goes over the couple of months to get the contaminated sediment remediated in the southern area as well. So that is kind of, a summary of where things, are at in general. I feel that they're making good progress. And, it's construction. So there's always surprises with construction. I did give you a couple of handouts there. I thought that they would be useful for you to just see, an updated estimated project budget. One of them was back in May when we had, that we had submitted with our draft technical services change order. And then the most recent one that I did for today's meeting, it's the one that's dated August 9th in the lower right-hand corner. But we basically, I thought that what I should do is, if you look under A2, I put in the maximum amount of what was submitted for the contractor's potential change order for the southern marsh area. So again, that's without any adjustment. We're going through and reviewing that now. I also included 10% contingencies. As I said, we have encountered waste in the outside the limit of the landfill. So I still wanted to have 10% contingencies in there as, precautionary. So then there's the engineering services. Then we also have included, and both the construction and the engineering are eligible for the 75% grant, and the town is only responsible for 25% of that. Then item C is the estimated legal and financial services costs. So those, your bond counsel, your local counsel, environmental counsel. You also have to, there's going to be a financing fee associated with when you when you convert your existing short-term financing to long-term financing with EFC. There's going to be, a finance charge that they add in. Right now, that's C6, the bond issuance costs, and that is on the total project cost. So that is worked in here too. So there's a cost that's given for, legal and financial services that would not be eligible under the 75% grant. So the original state assistance contract was for just a little over $9 million, and this is what we had estimated, back in 2007, whenever we prepared the state assistance contract for the town, and that got submitted to the DEC. So at that time, we had estimated, $9 million for the project. Right now, the updated estimated cost is, approximately $7.5 million. The town's 25% share of that cost, plus the legal and financial services cost, is a little over $2 million. So we're still under the existing state assistance contract budget amount that we had estimated back in 2007. And you are aware of that through your financing with EFC, you are eligible up to principal forgiveness in the amount of approximately $1.6 million. So when you account for that principal forgiveness, with this updated cost, you are potentially going to be responsible for financing, a little over about $500,000. So that, that includes some additional contingencies. It's kind of, right now, this is like a projected a number at this time based on what we know at the landfill, at this time, based on the work that he's completed so far. So you are going to be, your current short-term financing agreement will end up getting converted over to long-term financing next year. The construction contract time is through the end of June or July. I don't recall exactly, the length of time that the contractor had to complete the project. So there's, that should be all set by the time that you have to convert to the long-term financing. And
But does this include?
This includes our.
But not the bid to remove the other stuff.
This includes everything. If like right now, this includes 10% contingencies, and it also includes the worst, option one that we had received from the contractor. He had given two options for accessing the contaminated sediment in the southern marsh area, and option one is really the most feasible one. The other one was more expensive, and option one. So that amount under line item A2 is the amount of that option one that the contractor has submitted, and we're in the process of reviewing that, and we're expecting that to go down, based on our reviews.
And this includes, we went over with the PCBs by what? 400?
The amount of PCB contaminated soil, we went over that by a couple hundred tons in that amount. So that basically would be included under the 10% construction contingencies.
All right, so we're covered. We're covered with that. We haven't gotten the bill
Well,
yet.
if you get that number down from what the contractor suggested option number one would cost,
Yes.
which was about $600,000.
The contingency amount would stay the
You've got
same.
464 there, so you're expecting us to come down closer to what we had.
Well, basically, I've given you, I've put in the amount that the contractor submitted for for option one, but I also still have 10% contingencies in there. I have both of those.
Oh, okay, so in addition.
So I have 10, I have
Yes.
10%
On top of that.
contingencies
Okay.
plus.
So we're not as
Thank
bad as we
goodness.
thought.
That's
Yeah.
usually
The
in there
amount.
anyway.
So basically, that 10% contingencies will cover, the additional PCB contaminated soil. It'll cover where they have excavated waste outside the limit of the landfill.
Will it cover having to bury any rocks that the highway department isn't going to use?
Yes, because basically those rocks are going to get buried on the outside of the cap.
Okay,
And so that would be included with, they had to excavate the waste and then backfill it.
okay.
Backfill that area, yeah. So this is our, best estimate of where it's at, right now. And, there's going to be some line items that there will be some savings that are within the existing contract. One thing which was good is we did not encounter a lot of drums. So we probably only encountered like 5 or 6 drums. That were not ones that we could already see that were visible on the surface. There's still, 30 some odd drums, but those were mostly visible on the surface. And within the waste, we only encountered about 5 or so drums. We encountered a lot of rocks, but we only encountered about 5 or 6 drums, something like that. So, so far we haven't encountered any leachate. So there's, so there's been some good and there's been some challenging portions.
And then they're gonna change the cap? That's another savings that we've,
That is a potential savings that isn't reflected in
Right.
here. The contractor has submitted a credit if they utilized a geocomposite for the gas venting layer as opposed to 12 inches of sand. So that is, that's a potential credit. We basically still have to review that credit amount and make sure that that's, sufficient for what they want to do. Make sure that it's, that's sufficient and, should it potentially be more? So we are going to look at that and make sure that it's a legitimate credit.
their credit was 135,000, correct? Somewhere in there.
Around 100,000.
Oh, it was 100,000? I thought it was more than that.
100,000.
So how long is that financing, that you talk of long-term financing for the roughly $500,000 that we are going to need to finance?
That we're looking at right
Is that over
now.
30 years or 40 years? I can't remember.
I think you have an option. I think that it can be 20 years or 30 years. I think you have an option, and typically it is it's a low interest. And one thing I did, I've got to get additional information from EFC, but Ian and I had a conversation the other day, and I did follow up with one thing with EFC, and the EFC project manager is going to get back to me, and that was whether, how quickly you have to start making some principal payments. And he thought that you had to start making some principal payments within 2 years of when you got your first disbursement. And so I need to, I have a follow-up call with the finance folks at EFC just to check on that, because I believe that the first disbursements to EFC occurred, I think it was in, the fall, late in the year of 2010 or January of 2011. And so I'm not positive on this information, and I've got to get more, I've got to check with EFC, and I'll shoot an email to Bill. But you may end up having to start doing some principal payments within 2 years of that, first disbursement. And I guess it would be dependent on, the amount that has been dispersed so far, and the amount that has come in, that has come from EFC so far has been 25% of the engineering costs, 25% of the construction cost, and it's 100% of the legal costs. So any legal costs that have been incurred, that have been submitted, those are 100%. So I don't have what that
Paid.
total amount is. Excuse
Paid
me?
or our responsibility? Paid.
Well, in other words, they're just financing it. You know, you're gonna have to pay for it 100%, but they are financing it on the short term for you, you know, at 100% for the legal costs. And the amount in the escrow account amount money is just about up. And then both our payment applications and the contractors will then actually get submitted to the New York State DEC, and then they'll issue the payments. So the first one may be a little bit longer until they get you in the system, but then after that, they typically pay within, you know, 30 months, or 30 months, yeah, 30 days.
That's
They
what we pay,
typically-
30 months.
Typically pay within 30 days. But the first one may be a little bit longer until they get everything set up. But,
So what is do you have any sense of what our payments are gonna need to be? And it's potentially that we have to budget for our first principal payment in 2013, right?
Well, that's
was
what we're trying to figure
2002.
out.
Yeah, I mean, I will shoot an email to Bill when I hear, but it's, the EFC finance person is gonna get back to me and let me know.
Because 2 years from first disbursement, if that was at the end of 2010, that would mean you might have to make
Principal payment this year.
principal payment this year.
23rd, right, it may be December of
By the end of
2012
this
or
year.
January of 2013, yeah. So I have to look and see when the first disbursement occurred. So, you know, I don't know for sure, that's what the EFC project manager thought it was, but I need to check with the finance people at EFC to confirm that.
I thought they gave you, I
I
thought
thought
it
it
was
was-
3 years.
Right, and that's what, when you and I spoke, that's what I had thought, but then I checked, I followed up with EFC to, you know, double check. So they, you know, that's the information I have right now, but it's not, you know, it's, I need to confirm that, so. I always thought you didn't have to pay anything until you went to long-term financing. That's the way that I always understood it, so. And that would be within the 3 years. You've got to convert from, when you originally got your finance agreement, you have to convert to long-term within 3 years. On that.
What happened to the 2 million that you saved?
We have,
Spending it.
we've used it. 1.6
You
mi-
get these rocks in lieu of it?
yeah. 1 point,
Well, actually, you saved, I mean, originally, you were going to end up having to pay 25% of the 9 million on the original estimate, so at least, it's still underneath your estimate. And then with the principal forgiveness, you know, that is really helping a lot, the 1.6 million.
what's that?
Wasn't it 4 point something a few months ago?
No, it's 1.6 million is what we got as a
Well, the
forgiveness grant.
4.6 million was the contractor's cost.
Correct.
But it all gets totaled up, and then the town is responsible for 25% of the cost. So the contractor's bid was like 4.6 million originally.
Right,
The
but there's
state picks up
engineering.
75%.
We're not at 3.
No, there's the contractor's bid, and we've included some contingencies on that. There's the engineering cost, and then there's the legal and financial services cost. So they all get totaled together.
At the end of the day, this figure may come down. It may change.
That's what we're hoping.
in a
There's
good
no
world.
guarantee in this
Right.
business, but that's what we're hoping, yes. I mean, that's what we're anticipating, but there's no guarantees, because you never know what you're going to encounter when you're dealing with environmental issues. But that's what that's what is anticipated. But, I mean, I don't, there's no guarantee, and that's why I do want to just make sure that you're clear on that there is no guarantee, because we just don't know yet. You know, the good thing is, you know, I believe after tomorrow, you know, most of the waste that had to be excavated, you know, will have been excavated. So then we will know where we stand in regards to that. But
So we're close. I've been there a couple of times and we're close. They're
Close to finishing.
Well,
yeah, we're working in the southeast
Right.
corner now. You know, the southern portion and the southeast corner is where the waste extended out past, you know, the original tree line. That's where that extended.
One last question. So we're financing $500,000. We have, out of 2.4, so does that mean the other 1.9 that's coming out of that fund that's already paid for? We're only on the hook for the $500,000 that's left?
correct. We're only on the hook for the 500.
Okay, the other stuff.
We got other,
2.4.
Right,
Knock on wood, nothing changes, although
Right.
all of the caveats. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
and hopefully it'll go down. And we need to buy the rocks for Stanley. We need to pay for the rocks.
how much is a rock washing cost?
1,500 for
that's,
us.
Yeah, the town's cost is gonna be just over 1,500.
And is that a saving stand to what you would have had to have paid to get rocks elsewhere? Okay.
We have a road on Cascade Road that's
Yeah,
washing out
I'm
from the stream.
assuming that's where you're going with
So
that.
that's where we're gonna go with
Yeah.
it. He's got, you know,
So, I mean, that price includes 100 rocks. You know, maybe Stan is gonna decide he wants more than 100 rocks. I don't know if, you know, there's over 200 rocks, but the problem is that a lot of them are quite big, you know, and a lot of them are smaller. So 100 rocks may, you know,
Maybe we can
hopefully
sell 'em.
we've got 100 for the 3 to 4.
Oh, they're gonna have to bury them.
either can we sell them?
Gotta clean them first.
You do have to wash
Not
the
free.
rocks.
Not free.
They're not free. We have to pay for them to clean them.
Well, they have to be cleaned no matter what. So if this, or else you're gonna bury them.
No, if they're buried on site off the
Right.
cap, then you're
If you can
okay.
use them, it makes sense to get them at this point. Because you can't, it costs us more than that to get the things trucked in here.
Rock would be pretty expensive, yes.
Expensive.
Yeah.
You know, what was it, $10,000 for a median sand? It's only gonna cost 100 feet, right?
No, 800 feet.
800.
Well, that's what they fit.
15,000.
Right. So, but they're only giving $10,000 worth of rock.
Right, we're only doing 300 feet, not 8.
Right. So with this, we could get more done at a much less cost.
I mean, is that more than like 3 big 10-wheel dump trucks full of stones?
Well, it's 100
Well,
stones,
that's not a measurement that does any good.
and they're 3 to 4 feet in diameter. I think when Stan and I were talking, he was thinking that maybe 4 to 6 rocks could get into a truck.
Other than that, they-
Except we're exempt.
okay.
So one other thing too is, you know, to be able to go forward with the Porta Dam at the north end, you know, if the contractor also wanted to be compensated if the Porta Dam rental had to go over 2 months, and he wanted to be compensated $12,000 per month for a rental fee on the Porter Dam if, you know, for some reason there's delays in regards to removing the contaminated sediment in the southern marsh area. And I think that with the, you know, if there was a delay for construction, it certainly would be more than the $12,000 per month. You know, I think that's something that we should go forward with in regards to that. In the long run, it would be cheaper for the town, and also, we want to, you know, have the contractor continue working. We don't want to be, you know, delaying anything further. We're going to finish our review on their quote for doing the work in the southern marsh area, and if all goes well, we might be able to have that on your agenda for the next town board meeting. You know, that's what we're, you know, going to shoot for, but then
For next Thursday?
I don't know if it's going to happen then, because I want to review the things with you, you know, our findings and everything with you. if it doesn't happen next Thursday, then maybe, you know, you can have a special meeting or something to go over it, because then you won't be meeting again for another month. And, you know, we don't want to, you know, delay, you know, have any further delay in that regards. But also, once they are able to, you know, there's no reason why they can't be working in both areas. There's no reason, once they've got their portable cofferdam in place for the northern portion, that they can't be working in, you know, in the southern portion as well, once that's approved, you know, through the change order. So we, you know, we want to be able to have them, you know, continue working and getting that done, because we don't want to be running into issues with, we're getting late in the year, we've got to install, you know, geocomposite, geomembrane liner, we got a drainage geocomposite, so we want to, you know, keep the project moving and get all those.
Once you decide, and once we decide that they can get up into the southern part of it, how long is it going to take to clean that?
Well, they're estimating 23 days, and to do that southern portion. The northern portion, I don't recall exactly how many days. I think altogether they had, I think it was like a week to install the porta-dam. I'm sure there is at least a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, for removing the contaminated sediment in the northern portion as well.
So once all that stuff is done, then they start capping, correct? That's what they do next?
Right.
So then basically the cleanup is finished, it's capping.
Once we get the contaminated sediment out of West Pond, and then the next thing will be starting in on the cap.
So we're almost there.
So, but the whole, you know, sediment remediation is, you know, is going to be
Another month.
a couple of months altogether. You know, between the northern portion and the southern portion, you're looking at a couple of months. Yep. So we want to be able to have them start that. They could start that on August 20th. And then, you know, you got 2 months from there until that gets complete. And then we're going into the cap, so, you know, you're getting into the fall.
Do you need the board to approve something tonight, Liz, or?
Well, you know, these costs would be included within the change order, but, you know, I think Bill just wanted to, you know, make sure the board was aware of everything and make sure that you were in agreement to, you know, purchase the rock, or not purchase the rocks, but pay for the rocks to be, you know, washed off and loaded, you know, into the trucks, and also to, you know, pay that rental fee, which would only get paid, which would only be paid if it exceeded the 2 months. So that's it. You know, it's kind of just, you know, it's not like a resolution or anything like that, but I think it's just.
But it is a possibility that they won't need the extra 12,000.
It's possible that, you know, we're.
Get it done. But
yeah.
it's
So we
just-
have a resolution for a change order.
That's for CT Mail's technical services change order.
Right, so we have to vote on that.
Yes. Yes. But in regards to the construction, other than, you know, what's the general consensus, I guess?
I don't think we have a choice, right? I mean, you're reviewing it, you're making sure that the costs are legitimate as best you
Right.
can, and trying to, you know, you're the engineer. I think, you know, we have to remove the contaminated soils and the extra PCBs that we've encountered.
Right.
I think that's, and we're beholden to the DEC. Even if we said, well, you know, we're sticking to our original cost, that wouldn't work, because the DEC is going to require it to be cleaned up, and we pick up 25% of the tab,
Right.
right? It's just the way it is,
Yeah.
as I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's required by the DEC. I mean, you know, as far as the, you know, rocks, that's up to you, but that's going to be a benefit, I would say, to the town.
Right.
The other things, it's pretty much, you know, it's required by the contract and with your state assistance contract with the New York State DEC.
That's either, if we don't do it, we're on the hook for the whole thing.
Right.
they can pull the funding.
We want to work with DEC.
You know, I think we have to move forward with it, and just hope that it doesn't, you know, they don't need the extra, I know they're running out of work, so they need a lot of work, they need stuff to keep going.
Right, and
They're
that's
almost
why
finished.
I want to go, you know, we
We
want to
wanna keep
have
it
them
forward.
go forward with, you know, doing the, you know, start on the sediment remediation at the north end.
They would like to get a cap this year, correct?
Right, we-
Before winter, because it's easier to cap that thing when the weather's warmer. So if we just keep moving along, hopefully we can get the,
Sounds
Yeah, I
like
mean,
they can do
they-
it in October.
yeah.
If
I'm sorry?
everything, it sounds like you'll be able to do it in October.
Yes, yeah, in October, the weather will still be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And certainly if it was the weather like last year, you know, I mean, sometimes you do get snow in October, but,
Bite your tongue.
right. No, last year it was a mild winter. Who knows what we're going to get this year? But
Mild.
hopefully,
Mild.
I mean, typically you don't have a problem with in October, November. You're a little bit further south here too, so you don't actually get as much snow as, you know, further north, so.
So is the board in favor is okay moving forward with this stuff? Okay? And then the rocks, we need the rocks?
So we're gonna go forward,
Yep.
move forward with the rocks, move forward with the rental, or at least giving them authorization on the rental should it be necessary. You know, these things will be detailed in the contractor's change order. So we're just, you know, giving him preliminary approval now, but it will be included
So we're
within
just
the change order.
authorizing the
Oh, sure.
change, basically.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'll send him an email, but then it'll be followed up and become
So
part
we
of
can
the
make a
actual
motion tonight,
change
subject
order.
to, your,
Excuse
I'm
me?
drawing a blank here. The,
Subject to her approval. Changes.
your change order, correct?
Our change order has been approved by the DEC, yes,
Okay, so we just need to vote on, this
on
weekend.
our technical services change order, yes.
The resolution.
So that
Oh, no, but I mean,
resolution,
the rocks and the other 12,000.
yeah, the DEC is okay with that,
Okay.
yes.
But there'll be a formal change order for that
But there
as
will be a
well.
formal change order that will cover those costs, and, you know, we'll be submitting a draft to the supervisor to review. We also submit a draft to the DEC. The DEC basically, you know, has to approve it before the town votes on it in a resolution, yeah. But you know, DEC's involved, you know, all along. You know, they're aware of everything. You know, they're out there on a weekly basis.
But the board is just giving informal
Approval.
approval so they can move forward. There'll be,
On the construction end of things.
on the construction end of it.
Yes,
But there'll be a formal change order coming
change
in
order.
the next
There'll be a
few
formal
So do we need to
construction
do a
change
Need a
order.
motion?
So it's in the minutes.
Yeah, you can do it by motion and just to give informal approval so they're comfortable moving forward with, and they understand that you're okay with it.
Right? Who wants to make the motion?
I'll make the motion that the construction go on as informally explained to us, to include Stan getting the rocks, the 100 rocks that he would need, that would have to be washed, to take to Cascade Road or wherever he sees fit that they need to be placed, and,
The change,
hmm?
the change order.
Yes, and when the change order,
And to okay
The
the
dam,
rental fee of the
12,000.
Porta Dam,
right, the Porta Dam, which is, you said,
12,000
would be 12,000.
per month.
Per month, right. So that would be the motion.
Second?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilman Haas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes. You want to do the resolution?
I don't know if you have any other questions for me?
No, thank you very much, Liz, for all your work.
Okay, thank you.
Good thing you're here. Sure. I forgot you were there, Mike.
Mike Kelsey.
I know, right?
Michael Kelsey, County Legislator. I want to start off saying I wasn't able to make it here last month. We had, just like today, we had our committee meetings same day, and I went to Stanford and Washington, and then I never made it here. Today I went to Washington, Amenia. I probably won't make it to Stanford at this hour. But I did want to update you what's going on this month as well as last month. Amenia is on our radar. It's been coming up a lot today in committee, and then also at our meeting on Monday. We're considering the Amenia sewer wastewater system. To do that, and you can correct me and fill in the details, that there's I believe it's $11.8 million grant available to the town, but for that to take place, the county needs to act in order to change an existing law that we have in place. That law says that for the county to become involved, and when I say county, I mean the county water and wastewater authority. It has, right now as the law exists, it has to have 2 municipalities, either 2 towns, 2 village and a town, etc., involved for the county to become involved. What we voted on today in committee and will vote on Monday is to supersede that law and allow the county to become involved in, as long as a single town or single municipality requests it, as in this case with Amenia. And my understanding that it'll pass, and once it does, that will allow Amenia to move forward with this grant. I have received emails from people in the town really asking for this to go forward. And not only will it affect Amenia, it'll also affect other towns that are also in a similar situation with just one municipality, specifically Hyde Park and Wappingers. And last year we had a situation where the village of Red Hook came forward with a sewer system that they wanted to enact. In order to participate and cooperate with the county law, they drew the line into the town of Red Hook briefly so that it would have the town and the village. And as it moved forward, the people that were in the town objected, felt that they were being pulled in just as the benefit of doing that. They would have no benefit and they would pay more. And as a result, that project went down. So what we're doing, rather than an exception to the existing law, is we're actually repealing the law, and Amenia is the impetus for that to take place. And in the long run, it seems like it'll be good overall. Now, so we did vote on that today. There was a little bit of resistance, and I think the resistance is more of a confusion. East Fishkill, the supervisor down there, was concerned that his town or any town would lose home rule, and that the county, we would be voting on the county being able to just come in and make sewer systems and wastewater facilities anywhere, and that is not the case. What the law will still respect, as far as water and wastewater authority, towns, municipalities will still have to come and say, we want this in our town or in our village, so that we're trying to calm the fears of East Fishkill, but there was a lengthy discussion today, but it did pass, and I think that it'll pass on Monday, and so that'll clear the way. Amenia also is on our agenda with respect to asking for some federal money for a bridge that'll go over Weebatuck Creek. And again, East Fishkill, unrelated, offered a little bit of resistance in that legislator Rob Weiss, who is from East Fishkill but also works in Amenia, is big on fishing and has said how great Weebatuck Creek is for fishing. The DEC doesn't even need to stock it, which is great for tourism side of things, but his concern was if you're doing a bridge repair that it's going to upset the fish. So we're addressing those points. I don't believe that's the case. I think you can safely do it without disrupting the fish, but that's the conversation that's going on right now on that front.
Which bridge is that?
I'm not sure of the road, and I actually was out here last night, used the rail trail, and I was driving, looking at it, and what I thought was Weebatuck Creek was actually Wassaic Creek, so
the one by the firehouse? By the Wassaic Firehouse?
Is that the Weebatuck Creek?
It could be, yeah.
It could
That's
be.
Wassaic Creek.
No, Wassaic comes down.
Is it?
I think Weebatuck comes along Firehouse Road.
Yeah,
I just
I'm-
wonder
Well,
what
that's a
bridge
town
you're
road.
doing.
That's a
That's
town.
county.
Firehouse Road
County
is,
road, right?
Firehouse is county, I think.
That's a county road.
Yeah, because I'm not sure, because what I was thinking it was, and I actually drove by, I thought it was over by Taconic DDSO, and that's, clearly I saw it last night that that's Wasaya Creek, not the Weebatuck. So I'm unclear. I can try to find out and email you to let you know. But last month also we discussed the rail trail, and we approved the money to do the engineering study for the Harlem Valley Rail Trail from Millerton on up. That 80% of that will be federal money, and we voted for the legislature to vouch for that extra 20%, and if some reason it seems unavailable, the county executive will immediately call us back into session. The idea is to jumpstart that project. It's been still for too long, and that would allow at least engineering study to go forward. Hopefully construction and whatever problems, turtles, whatever, might be alleviated down the road, but at least opening that door. On the other side of the county, we accepted the land between the walkway over the Hudson and Morgan Lake, the northern section of the rail trail. So that'll allow that rail trail to move forward as well.
Is that the land that was owned by the
CRX? Railroad, correct. And that was able to be negotiated, and so now. County purchased it, isn't that correct? I believe so, yes. So that'll allow, once the bridge over 55 is done, then, and with this new portion, you'll be able to go from East Fishkill all the way to New Paltz, which is a good thing, I think, and popular. So I want to talk a little bit about the county budget. As you know, the county budget is grim. We have a $40 million budget gap that has to be met somehow. In our budget process, the county executive prepares the budget, sends it over to the legislature on November 1st. At that point, it becomes the legislature's budget. During these summer months is when the county executive prepares the budget. Department heads contribute, do their own budgets, comes back, and with that gap of $40 million, the county executive is really reaching out, asking people where we should go. I know he spoke with he either has spoken or will be speaking with Supervisors and Mayors Association. He's meeting with both caucuses in September and really trying to figure out where we're going. This summer, he's had a budget survey. If you haven't taken it, feel free to do so. It's still on the county website, only for a little bit longer. And he's been asking county residents, it's very educational, explaining the process, explaining the needs, and almost line by line suggesting where cuts could be made or what's important. So far, as of middle of July, I don't know the updated, but as of the middle of July, the far majority of the people taking it, about 80%, have said that they would rather raise taxes than cut. And the number that the results are coming in is saying they'd be willing to see taxes raised 7%. So I don't know who's taking this survey, whether it's employees, families, groups that benefit, but that's not the sentiment I get when I talk to people in the community. So I'm letting you know that's what the results, at least as of July, was showing. And that is raising taxes is on the table. Also on the table, we received a report from the budget director, and it was mentioned in there. It wasn't highlighted, but it was mentioned, and it alarmed me, was the possibility of borrowing up to $12 million in a bond to make up for operating deficits. I am extremely reluctant to do that. I feel that if revenues aren't there, then you need to make cuts. Now, when you say cuts, it's easy to say that. What do you cut? The county executive has asked all the departments to give him scenarios, how their department would be impacted with a 5%, a 10%, and a 15% reduction in workforce. That means layoffs. So we're going to have the data when it comes time for budget time for us to see if we reduce the sheriff's office 5%, 10%, 15%, if we reduce DMVs by these percentage, mental hygiene, health department. So we'll have facts. Along those lines, the county executive, as recently as this week, yesterday or the day before, announced an early retirement program, an incentive for employees who have been there 20 years or more that may be thinking about retirement. If they retire by November of this year, they'll receive $2,000, and that might clear the way for somebody who maybe was thinking about it. Maybe they'll retire, and that'll save somebody younger.
Isn't the incentive 20,000?
20,000. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's 20,000, and I think they have to be there 30 years or more.
Okay. So there's a lot being considered right now, but the three issues are: do you raise taxes, do you bond, borrow money to pay, or do you have layoffs and cuts? And if so, where?
Or all of the above.
Either way you slice it, they're ugly decisions. People depend on services. We're already stretched thin with taxes, and I don't believe borrowing for sending it down to the next generation or next year is the answer. So it's a tough decision either way, wherever way you go. I think the county executive is reaching out and asking people their thoughts, but I will say ultimately the legislature is going to be the ones making the decision. And if we raise taxes, you have a property tax cap of 2%, with pension costs is about 3%. For us to go beyond that as a legislature, you need 2/3, 17 votes. For us to bond, to borrow, you need 2/3, 17 votes out of 25. So Mark, the county executive, will know when he meets with our caucuses in September where we're headed, what we're thinking, to really know, are we willing to take either one of those extraordinary steps, or are we pretty much looking at layoffs and cuts, and where does that go? So it's definitely a topic to, on everyone's radar, and just keep watching as we move forward, because budget season is coming very quick. A few more items. Redistricting. Still, we do not have any progress made there, although the maps that I previously mentioned to you are now out the window. And they're out the window because Victoria's laughing. They're out the window because the numbers that we were operating off of, we turned out, were wrong. And they were wrong because they included the prison populations. And so once you take those out, we have a different set of numbers. The map that I'm seeing right now as a leading contender would include my district would be more, Island Pleasant Valley would be more Pleasant Valley, all of the town of Washington, and all of the town of Amenia at this point. So for me,
good.
I enjoy that.
I like that one better.
Yeah, whereas even when I was at the parade, I was saying to people, I'm not going to be your candidate next time. I'm just here because I'm your legislator. And now,
guess what?
I'm looking forward. Keep your fingers crossed. I do like that map. But I think the action will be probably September, October, that there'll be.
So where is the change going to be?
Changes are going to be, and I don't want to go into detail because I don't think all the legislators know at this point. There'll be some changes on the western side, and then also in Southern Dutchess. There will be some legislators squared off, and based upon this map, it's not finished yet. They're still looking at different things.
Well, Southern Dutchess was going to change anyway.
Right. And unfortunately, the way it goes, I mean, I know Chairman Rollison, his view is to try to avoid conflicts between existing legislators wherever possible, but the overriding principles are trying to keep towns whole, keep like regions together, and so they're still drawing maps as we speak. Earlier this week, they were working on other ones to give options, but right now, from what I'm hearing, that's the leading one, and I'm very pleased with that, as that would be. So stay tuned on that. I just did want to update you because previously I've been telling you something completely different, and now it's changed. So, and what I'm telling you now could change. It's very fluid. Two more things, I think, unless I remember something else. A piece of legislation I've been working on since February, and I'd like to update you on. It's the property tax exemption for disabled property owners with limited income. And it's a mouthful, so I'll explain. Tax exemption, as we know, is a discount on taxes. We currently give it to seniors, we give it to veterans, and the state has, in 1998 and updated in 2005, said you can give it to another group, disabled property owners with limited incomes, poor that are disabled. A number of the towns in the county offer it, a number of the school districts. And I was approached by a woman in town of Washington who got it from Washington and from Millbrook School District and said, how come the county doesn't do it? I researched it and then proposed a local law in May. At first, it received a cold reception, and largely that is when somebody is getting an exemption, a discount, other taxpayers make up for it. And so there, just philosophically, there was some disagreement or questioning. When I did the math, there's about 200 people in the county this would affect. It comes down to about 60 cents per homeowner, and most of the legislators, upon hearing that, said, we can swallow that. There's value in keeping the disabled in their homes rather than elsewhere where they might be on the public assistance. There's also value in keeping disabled in our community. A lot of times they struggle, their life struggles, their persistence, strength of their personalities adds to the community. It was on discussion the last couple months. We've had discussion on the floor where legislators were warming up to it, and then today there was an amendment on it to keep the numbers the exact same as the seniors. And again, if you're a senior, you choose one or the other, either the disabled property owner or the senior, not both. So it's really only getting that group of property owners who are less than a senior age and on a fixed income. So it looks like with that amendment, it'll probably pass in September. So I'm happy that's something I've been trying to move along. Second issue I want to mention, which doesn't concern the county as much, more it's federal government and the impact it has on individual property owners. And coincidentally, it's the front page of the Poughkeepsie Journal today. And that issue is FEMA on the national level has redrawn floodplain maps. And in doing so, it has brought in a lot of properties that previously were not in a floodplain, but now are. And what I could see in the numbers, it doesn't incredibly affect Amenia, but countywide it is affecting a little over 1,100 properties that were not in a floodplain but are now. And what that means is these property owners are being asked or being told they need to get flood insurance. And flood insurance, and here's where I got that number from, are paying $2,000 for flood insurance a year. A gentleman I know that as a friend of mine is now, his property value is now going down 50%, or not 50,000. And because being in a floodplain, although he's nowhere near water, and the cost to get out of this for hydraulic study and surveying to challenge FEMA is about a little over 10 grand. And so today's article, Fishkill Supervisor Bob Lacola has been leading this kind of a crusade. He has asked our Washington representatives to give a grace period. Anybody affected by this, give them a 2-year grace period to, 1, bring up the money so that they can get the flood insurance, or 2, raise the money to challenge it, have the engineering studies done. And right now, if you're, say, a senior or you're, who has extra money or whatever it might be, to do this. So I've asked my fellow colleagues in the legislature we're going to sign a letter and ask our congressional representatives to, if this can't be changed, and it may not be, at least give people a grace period, give them some time to prepare rather than having it turn around in the next month or so. So those are issues going on. Any topics that I haven't hit that lingering on your mind?
On the FEMA issue, my understanding was that if they were in the floodplain, they had the option to buy flood insurance, but they're obligated.
If they have a mortgage, they're obligated. If they don't have a mortgage, then it's a choice.
Yeah, the bank's going to tell you to do it.
Yeah.
I've had 4 people already
Before.
come to me on some on Mechanic Street. In fact, we own a building that we have to buy flood insurance at this point. It's $3,500 to.
Yeah, it's expensive, and it's coming. All of a sudden, you're being told, "Hey, you're in it, and you have to do this."
The bank said you had to buy it, or
Yeah.
they'll buy
Yeah,
it.
you don't have a choice.
You have no choice.
And in large sense, it seems very unfair, and it's federal government saying, "Hey, you have to do this," and it's impacting the friend I know. I'm my capacity as an attorney, I'm helping him out getting an engineer, and we're trying to get the neighborhood people other also similarly affected to pool in and get the study. And there is an engineer I did speak with that there's two of them. One said, well, I can't guarantee results. The other one said, if I take it, I will guarantee results, which is making these people more comfortable spending. Either way, you're spending money. The question is are you likely to succeed? You know, if you're the friend I know, he's about 4 years away from paying his mortgage off. Then he won't need flood insurance, but meanwhile the property value has dropped because who's going to buy it, if they know they have to pay flood insurance. So it's kind of like a surprise. You thought you were okay, and now boom. So it's just an issue that I wanted to raise up.
One other thing, you know, this survey that you said that
Right.
the county is putting out, I took that survey, and I think if we could get the website listed, you know, that maybe on our channel 22, you know, we need people to speak up that we don't want county taxes any higher than what they
Right.
are. So I think, you know, our town of Amenia, Wassaic, should participate in this.
It's on the county website. The address escapes me right now, but
Well, I
Yeah.
think they should look for it on 22, so I think we should get it on 22.
yeah.
Or have a link. I don't know if we have a link from our website.
I mean, I'll personally tell you, whatever the results, I'm not putting much weight on them. My attitude is, I don't know who's taking it, and
Yeah.
I feel I'm in touch with the people I represent to know, and I know from other budget years, they call me and they email me and tell me what's important. So I'm not putting terribly much weight. I don't think polls is really the way we should be governing. We should be governing what the people's needs are, whether they express them or what we know is their needs. That's why we get elected. But I
Might be
will
better
say,
just to let you know what they think.
yeah, others in elected office, I think, either want to use it as a cover to justify raising taxes because they don't like the alternative, and nobody likes the alternative, or I think, you know, there may be some who say, well, this is what the people want. I'm not one of them. I feel, you know, I hear from people. I write regularly in the newspapers. People respond. They tell me. I see them on the streets. They say, this is, you know, and I think we need to cut. The question is, what do we cut, and what can we live with? You know, and that's the tough decision. So, but it's on the website, the poll.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you very much. Yep.
The one thing I want to hit on the FEMA issue,
Yes.
over in Massachusetts, I've seen, I want to say it sounds more simple than how you presented
Oh,
it,
the
but
CT one?
it's more of having a surveyor who can guarantee, or who can survey a property and say, here's the elevation of the structure, and here's the actual flood elevation. And we haven't seen residents in Massachusetts being forced to actually have to go through more complicated engineering studies. So I don't know if that's something that's more unique to this area.
The way it's been explained to me, and I've been asking questions, is that there's two ways. There's a LOMA, which is a something map amendment, and then there's a revision. And the amendment is saying to FEMA, hey, you might have got it wrong. Here's a survey results. This is the base elevation. Make the amendment. The revision is to challenge them and say, no, this is completely wrong, which tends to be more expensive. With that one, and that's what you can have a surveyor come out probably for a cheaper price. Just do the elevation. Say, here's the base elevation of the house. This shouldn't be in there. What I'm hearing, though, is that absent the hydraulic study, because they're looking at a stream or a creek or something nearby, what I'm being told is for FEMA to act, they need to see that the water level's not going to go this way or that way, and saying that's where the money is coming in to have the hydraulic study. So, I mean, I've asked, could you do the surveyors, do the cheap route, and if that fails, could you do this? You know, trying to save money, and what I'm being told by engineers is not really. So, but it's, you know, as a homeowner, regardless, you're facing a decision, an expense, whether small, minor, perpetual, that you didn't think you had.
Even a survey, I mean, that can be a few $1,000s pretty easily.
Right.
I have a question. There was a request on Old Route 22 to have a sign and maybe a crosswalk across from Kelsey's for to alerting somebody that there's a blind person in the area. Now, I see the sign went up, but is there more that's coming, or is that pretty much it?
Let me let me revisit that. That's been going on for a while, and I was communicating with Charlie Traver, who is the Commissioner of Public Works. Charlie is now retired, and this month we're confirming the appointment of Robert Balkind as the acting commissioner. So let me reach out to him and just make sure he's aware that it was out there, and ask and see whether anything more is going to be done. Because I know that has been a longstanding request of a constituent.
Yeah,
We did
we're
get the
trying
sign.
to do as much as we can to slow traffic down and to make it more pedestrian friendly, and knowing that we have a particularly a person who has that challenge,
Right.
that would be really helpful.
Sure. Thanks for bringing it back to my attention. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, resolutions, we need to do the
Approval of technical services for
technical
CTML.
service change order number 3 for
What
CT.
number is that?
CT mail 51.
Are we gonna do the CT meal?
Yeah.
That's gonna be number 51.
At a meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Amenia held at Amenia Town Hall on the 9th day of August 2012 at 7 p.m., Town Supervisor William Flood called the meeting to order, and Victoria Perotti, seconded by Councilwoman, need a second?
I'll second.
Moved the following resolution to wit, whereas the Town of Amenia has entered into a contract with CT Mail Associates dated June 21st, 2007, original contract, to perform certain engineering and technical services on behalf of the town with respect to the remediation of the Old Amenia landfill located on Route 22 in the town Old Amenia landfill project. Whereas the fee for the services provided by CT Mail Associates contained in the original contract was $562,218.76. Whereas as a result of previous change orders, the fee for services provided by CT Mail Associates under the original contract has increased to $608,894.94. Whereas CT Mail Associates has presented the Town Board with technical services change order number 3, dated May 29, 2012, pertaining to additional pre-design investigations, engineering design, and permitting services, and construction administration and oversight services, a copy of which is attached hereto. Whereas the requested fee increase for the services contained in technical services change order number 3 is equal to $775,543.96. Whereas the approval of technical change order number 3 would result in the increase in the original contract price as a result of technical change order number 3 and all previously approved change orders to $1,384,438.90. Whereas pursuant to the state assistance contract with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, DEC, is providing the funding for 75% of the eligible engineering and construction costs on the Old Amenia landfill project. And whereas the Town Board believes that the additional costs contained in technical service change order number 3 will be eligible for funding under the state assistance contract with DEC, and the town will only be responsible for 25% of the additional costs as a result of technical services change order number 3. Whereas the DEC has approved the draft technical services change order number 3 by letter dated July 18, 2012, a copy of which is attached hereto. Whereas the Town Board has reviewed technical services change order number 3 along with the supporting documentation attached thereto and the approval letter from DEC dated July 18, 2012. Whereas the Town Board has determined that the additional services provided by CT Mail contained in technical services change order number 3 are not discretionary and are required to be performed in order to complete the remediation of the Old Amenia landfill. Whereas the town board has determined that it is in the best interest of the town to approve technical services change order number 3 and to authorize the town supervisor to sign the same. Whereas the approval of change order is a Type 2 action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and is therefore not subject to seeker review. Now therefore it is hereby resolved that the town board approves technical services change order number 3 from CT Mile Associates in the amount of $775,543.96. And it is hereby further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign technical services change order number 3 on behalf of the town.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilman Haas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parodi?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Reamer.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is, whereas the Amenia Town Recreation is hosting an event entitled the Sundowner Saturday, August 18th, 2012 at 6 p.m. on the lawn of the Amenia Town Hall, and whereas the Amenia Recreation has requested the town board rescind the open container law, and now therefore be resolved that the town of Amenia hereby rescind the open container law for the event area, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall become effective immediately. Moved by Councilman Supervisor Flood, seconded by Councilman.
Doyle? Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilwoman Parodi?
No.
Councilman Haas?
I have a question. Why are we calling this Amenia Recreation? Because we don't have a recreation department, correct?
We didn't at our meeting.
So the recreation, well, so what is Amenia Recreation? That's what I'm asking.
Well, she's involved with the Recreation Department.
But do we really have a recreation department?
You have a Recreation Committee.
Well,
We have a
yes,
commission.
so, I mean, I'm
Committee,
I'm
commission.
speaking to
you don't have much.
accuracy of the resolution, though. I mean, it's really the town that.
Well, you saw the
is sponsoring the
resolution a
event.
week ago, so at this point,
No, I didn't see it a week ago, so that's why I'm asking about it now.
it is a recreation function.
Do you want to see the flyer? Do you want to see this?
No, I've seen it. No.
Okay. Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
So pass. Next one is whereas the town of Amenia has adopted local law number 3 of 2007 establishing the powers and duties of town constables, and whereas section 10-7 of the law authorizes the town board to adopt a resolution granting special duties to the town constables upon the determination of assignment of those special duties appropriate and is consistent with the scope of the town constables' powers and peace officers. And whereas the Amenia Recreation is hosting an event entitled Sundowner scheduled to be held in the town of Amenia, Town Hall, 4988 Route 22 on August 18th, 2012, beginning at 6 p.m. And whereas the town board concludes that it would be in the best interest of the town of Amenia and the public health and welfare for the town council to assist in parking and traffic control for this event, and to generally patrol the Amenia Town Hall grounds and surrounding area during the event. And now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby grants the town constables the special duties enumerated in sections 10-7, C, D, E, F, and G of the Town of Amenia Town Code during the event on August 18th, 2012, including the period of time prior to and after the event necessary to patrol the area for safety and to assist in controlling and directing the parking and traffic generated by this event. And it is further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town constables to carry a firearm as authorized by section 10-6 of the Amenia Town Code while performing the special duties identified in this resolution. It is therefore resolved that the town of Amenia shall pay for the costs associated with the town council providing the services identified in this resolution. The foregoing resolution was voted upon with all councilmen voting as follows.
Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Councilman Haas?
Yes.
Can we have discussion, or,
Sure.
Yes.
I just wondered what the cost would be,
It's
So do we know?
$30 per hour, correct?
Yeah.
and how many constables?
Two.
Two.
So it's $3 an hour for two, and for the length of this the duration of, it's 6 to 8, I think, is that right?
I believe I was told it'd be 3 hours per constable.
What time does it go to?
It goes later than that.
I don't think it's gonna be over at 8 o'clock.
No, it's more like probably 11 or 12, I would assume. But I think
6 p.m., oh, I see,
starts at 6.
yeah, that's right.
And it was my understanding that the firemen are going to sell soda and
I thought it was 3, but that would make more sense if it were 5.
food.
Correct.
I know hiring a sheriff is significantly
More expensive, sure, yeah.
For the price of 2 constables, for one sheriff, you get 2 constables.
Okay,
That's what it worked out when we discussed it when I discussed that with Aaron.
Okay, so you've looked at the costs, you think they're reasonable, you think they're necessary?
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was 3 hours, but if it's 5, I mean, it's still going to be the same I mean, we need, especially if there's going to be alcohol, we need protection there.
Okay,
Yes, since they're bringing alcohol in
okay.
and we're not selling it.
Get your vote.
Yeah, I voted
to
yes.
sell it.
Good thing.
Ready?
What?
It's supposed to be a family event. It
Councilwoman
doesn't need
Doyle?
alcohol.
Yes.
I think even without alcohol, it needed, some sort of safety protection there.
Well, it
so
needs the constables there,
Yes.
yes, at least for traffic and parking and whatever.
Well, I think the town's gonna have to relook at what we do anything, because at this point, we have other family events that they sell alcohol and that on town property. So that's, if we're not gonna do it for one, then we don't do it for any of them. So I think that's a conversation that we're gonna have to have. And I'm also gonna say that any more resolutions that come in at the night, I'm not gonna do it anymore. Either give us a month or 2 weeks in advance, because the discussions doesn't make sense. We're gonna start changing some of the way we do some of this stuff. It just doesn't.
Councilwoman Parodi
Yes.
and Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes. I would just like to add on this, the flyer, it should have an ending time so that people have an expectation of when they have to leave the property.
And there should be actually a limit. I wouldn't think that we'd want this to go on beyond.
Right, I mean,
How
well,
long was the man hired for? 3 hours?
We think it was 3 hours.
Actually, they have another band that's coming in from Poughkeepsie. I believe it could be coming later. They want to play. So it could be a little bit later.
Still-
No later than 11.
I still think, we need an
Yeah.
ending time
Right,
that's
or
published
12
so
or
that
whatever
people
it's gonna be.
will have an expectation as to when they are expected to leave. Well, you have to have some edges, I think, for this.
Well, this is the first ones, so we'll see how
Right,
we...
so I think we should set a time, and if it's not enough, then the next time we do something, we adjust in some way, so. I think it should have an ending time.
So,
And is there an anticipation of when it would be ending?
I would think in a neighborhood setting, you wouldn't want it to go beyond 11:30. I mean, I don't know. It's awfully hard to know, but it seems like in a neighborhood setting, this is,
I think 11 is
I
appropriate.
think 11 is enough.
A 5-hour event, that's,
you certainly don't want to hire the constables until the odd hours of the night.
No, we
especially
don't.
if it is a family event. I mean, 5 hours seems appropriate.
Well, it starts at 6 and the parents will decide when the children have to leave.
Yeah, we don't have to supervise the
No,
children.
we're not doing that. Yes, that's the other expense is the
That's paid for.
counselors.
That's been donated. And I'm not so positive, but I think the constables have been donated also, but I'll double check that. Most of this has been paid for by citizens within the town, and especially Aaron's picked up the cost of a lot of it. Supervisors report, we have a letter from Senator Greg Ball, the Veterans Hall of Fame for the New York State Senate's 40th District. We need to come up with a person that we would like to nominate again. So that's due by September 7th. So who's done that in the past? Have you done that in the past, Vicki?
I think they asked Rick Butler for a recommendation. He's the commander of the VFW 6444 down in Dover.
Yeah, he's the one that gave us the recommendation last time.
If you want, I'll call Rick and ask him if he can
Sure.
come up with another.
There's another letter from Senator Ball. There's a public-private partnership roundtable meeting co-hosted by the Business Council of Westchester, which will be held on Thursday, August 23rd from 1 to 2:30 p.m. at the Mount Kisco Library, Mount Kisco, New York. The meeting will feature a roundtable discussion of the benefits of public-private partnership in New York State, and we will brainstorm the best way to legislatively enable these partnerships in New York State to spur economic development and to efficiently operate government facilities and infrastructure projects to the lower tax burden of all of us. So that's another one. That'll be Saturday. We do have the Sundowner Recreation, August 18th at 6 p.m. in the Amenia Town Hall. The live music by Creation. There's another band, I believe, that's coming from Poughkeepsie that's going to play later. Food and drinks for purchase by Amenia Fire Company, beanbag toss, free supervised entertainment for children, bouncy house games, ghost stories. It's just going to be a fun night for the family and town residents of Amenia.
Did we get the certificate of insurance for the bouncy house?
I would assume we had, and hopefully the recreation got the one for the one they had here the other day. So at this point, we'll see.
Okay.
Do they have insurance? I haven't seen insurance for the one they had here.
Well, you get the certificate from the company, and they put the town of Amenia as insured
They
on it.
don't, they rented it.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it does matter. If the town rents it, they own it. You're responsible.
If we lease it from somebody, that's what they have to do. That's what Byron said. I asked him.
You can lease it from a rental place. They're just gonna drop it off. So you're responsible for the thing. If it's a company that's bringing in here, they have to have a certificate of insurance.
He knows it's a lease company, and that's what he told me. You can call him and ask him.
Okay.
We rented for the summer program, the same type thing, the slide, and they furnished two people. They brought it, set it up, and then they took it away. They
Okay.
were responsible because they had their own people, and they stayed with it till they.
But we didn't get a certificate of insurance.
Big firm.
We didn't get any insurance certificates.
No, they had it.
We need a copy of it. We didn't get one. So anyway, we'll get it. Okay. The NYSERDA grant was finalized on Tuesday. It was the last day. Actually, Monday was the last day. They were here and inspected the building. The only thing we have left to do is we're packaging the light bulbs, the ballasts, and the fixtures have to be packed and put away, and they'll be picked up by a company in Wappingers and disposed of, and that's the last of it. We're done with that part, with this part of the NYSERDA grant. I've also talked to another company about writing a grant for the existing facilities. They were here. I've got to call into them again in the next few days to see what they can do to help us.
What company?
They're out of Clifton Park, New Jersey, I believe it is. Or Clifton Park, New York.
Who are they?
I'll give you the name and number. I didn't bring their card with me.
Okay. Are they charging us?
No, no fee, no charge. But they, that's what they do, is they help get the grants with the facilities and so on and so forth.
Okay.
engineering firm or?
No, it's a regular,
solicitor?
they just, they must be like a grant writer or something, Haggerty seems to have disappeared, so at this point.
He's going to be here next week.
Yeah, well, he should have been here months ago, too, but.
Yeah, well, he's coming next week, and I told him to finalize everything for Main Street, so he's going to bring everything that we need to do to move forward with that.
Right, well, he said that 3 months ago. Unfortunately, he's not been here. I haven't heard from him in months. So
I have.
well, it's still not done.
I know. He's
not
working
done.
on it.
Well,
He-
it's been 6 months.
He's completing the environmental form, and he's bringing all of it at the meeting, to the meeting next week.
Well, let's hope. I don't have much faith in him, to be honest with you. The fundraiser for Jason and Wasake was a great night. A lot of money was raised. Everybody should be extremely proud of what was done for that fundraiser. And I don't know if anybody else went to the Wasake project, but that was great also. They had a lot of people there. It's a great project for the town of Amenia, and especially for Wasake. Jeff and Bowie and the staff did a great job. And, Tony Zanino and his partner should be thanked for what the work they've done with those buildings and so on and so forth to make that what it is. And, some of the board members went to a dance event there that they had opening night, which was incredible. And I was thinking about what those farmers would come back and think of what that was going on there now. So it's an incredible thing to see what they've done and the people that are there. They've really done a pretty nice job with it. So that's basically what I've got. That's it for me tonight.
I would like to say that we finally got someone who responded. I've talked to a number of people about the Fountain Square bricks and expecting to get a lot of responses. However, we did get one today, so I think it's been out there so long, I think we need to move on it. It's from Aramis Shundi. Estimate for the refurbishment of Fountain Square, Town of Amenia. Brick floor area, Fountain Square, removal of plants, roots, or debris interfering with the original structural integrity, removing and replacement of damaged bricks, including engraved ones as provided by the town. The town is, the original vendor for those engraved bricks will supply us new ones, the ones he's talking about. They will be supplied by the town, given to us by the vendor. Build small retaining wall around garden islands, approximately 2 to 3 bricks high. Extension of height of interior, concrete riser of manhole, 18 inches high with manhole cover, sealed with silicone for future access. All paving will slope minimum of 1/4 inch per linear foot, matching original plan. No low spots allowed. Environmentally safe weed killer will be applied to eliminate invasive plants with care as to safe preservation of existing plants. Fountain, all present hairline cracks shall be opened, cleaned, filled, waterproofed, and resurfaced, resistant to vibration. Exterior surface shall be restored to its original condition. A mesh grating shall be applied over the drain to prevent debris from entering recirculating pit pump. Work area will be secured and fenced off with pedestrian path open for bank access. Sidewalk will be open to traffic. All debris shall be contained and removed in a timely manner. All needed permits shall be responsibility of the contractor. Cost estimate for the entire job, $6,750, and it's submitted by Shundi, Mosaic Tiles and Masonry. He doesn't have an insurance certificate supplied, so I think.
I asked him tonight, he dropped us off tonight. He said he's got
we have one.
insurance.
Okay,
We have to get it, I told him we have to have an insurance certificate.
absolutely, yeah.
Right.
So, I would make a motion that we accept this proposal for doing the work at Fountain Square so we can get it finished in a timely manner.
When we get the insurance,
When we get, well, yes, if it's
upon
here,
receipt of the
Upon receipt
insurance
of the
certificate.
insurance certificate,
Okay,
yeah.
my second.
He's my tenant. Is that a conflict?
No.
He's what?
My tenant.
Is the
Oh.
person that's submitting the proposal.
He's the only one that submitted one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that creates a
Okay, I'm just asking.
conflict. It's not, it would be, conflict would be as if you were partners with them in a,
Nope.
I mean, what you could do, you've disclosed it to the board. If you were concerned about it, you could recuse yourself from the vote.
I'm not concerned, it's just a question.
Yeah.
Just, he is a tenant.
Councilwoman Reamer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Parodi,
Yes.
Councilman Haas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle,
Yes.
and Supervisor Flood.
Yes.
Okey-doke.
Any other board comments? No?
Yes, I have a report from the Enhancement Committee, unless you're going to do that, Kevin. Are you going to do a report for the Enhancement Committee and public comments, or, okay? Well, the garden tour, of course, was fabulous, and Gretchen and Kevin did a great job putting that together, and they've been doing a great job watering. It's been a tricky summer, and I appreciate every day I go by the flower pots and say, oh my gosh, how do you get it done? So if anybody can help with watering, I'm sure you could contact Kevin Cassone, president of, are you the president or the treasurer for the garden club? And a member of Enhancement Committee. And
We do this all as just being part of the enhancement committee.
yeah, it's part of the Enhancement Committee, but it's very good.
Well, Anna's plan this year passed on, those big, the sweet part, the things straightening down, the fact that they're self-shading is, haven't had the water in for
Oh.
about 3 weeks.
So sweet potato vines have done a great job. If you remember the lime green, the lime green ones have kind of self-shaded and helped cool the plants and kept them cool. So that's a good idea. That was Anna's idea. As far as enhancement, we also have been working away on a streetscape plan thanks to Leo Blackman, Marcia Kaufman, and Ann Brook. And I'll forward that to the town board members. As far as I know, it's basically a melding of, from my opinion, Mark Morrison's plan of the streetscape plan that was done in 2004, thereabouts, and John Clark, who did a town street tree plan for Amenia. And it basically calls for many similar ideas that we've been kicking around, but simplified and focused on the things that we do have money for, which are trees. And some new planters were in the works, and we were thinking roughly along the lines of trying to get a shape done in reinforced concrete like the fountain, perhaps. So we've got an idea, and we're working on that. We're going to have an enhancement committee meeting on Wednesday night if you want to come to that. I can pass around some printouts of this, but you kind of, it's from, it's basically from the intersection in Amenia, M&T Bank, down 343. It's kind of in order as you go down to the new improvements at Dollar General and following that same concept plan. And hopefully that'll eventually, those ideas and planting lists will eventually get formalized into Hamlet design guidelines that will provide applicants to the planning board with specific ideas. The lime green trees are the ones that are proposed, and the other ones are existing ones. It's basically calls for enhanced planters and crosswalks and some street trees. Are we going in the right direction with these plans? We're formalizing some design guidelines for downtown streetscape improvements and providing a planting list, the kind of improvements that we did at Dollar General. So we're on target with what we're proposing. Okay. Is the rebuilding program still available to residents who
Yes.
meet a certain threshold of income eligibility and are acting town clerk is here to help you, Patty Barron. She can help you very quickly go through and see if you are eligible for home improvements. If your home is in need of basic improvements, even handicap accessibility, if you are struggling with roofing or, electrical issues and can't afford to do that, there may be assistance for you. It's called Rebuilding Together in Dutchess County. So come into the town clerk's office and she can help you. I think the deadline's November, so don't wait any longer if you want to get involved in that program. The Dutchess County Arts Council, I went to their meeting last night, and on behalf of the town for the dance program, I think that the Wasaik project is now a 501c3. Didn't they announce that at the meeting? So I think they're going to be on their own 2 feet, and I would be asking for money for the dance program due in September. Probably not to exceed $2,000, probably $1,500. And that requires a 25% match, and the town has more than met that in the past. I met with somebody who's very interested in affordable housing, and I said I would talk to the rest of the town board members informally, basically, about their interest in quite an ambitious project that she's interested in. Before the Taconic DDSO was formally ended there on the property on Sin Patch Road, that she would try and put together a grant package to try and take over that facility and turn it into affordable housing.
Who is she?
Joy Brown, she's a resident of Wasaik, and she has been interested. She was involved in the comprehensive plan, if you recall, 7 years ago. At any rate, it's a very ambitious, she's proposing a nonprofit renovation of that.
She's done that before here.
She's done all her life. She's been involved in affordable housing. She's talking about Section 8 housing, but she would be targeting veterans. And I can give lots more information, but I have a feeling we should, the feeling is she would like a sense from the town board members informally if they're interested in pursuing that. When I asked about the numbers to kind of amortize the incredible costs of renovating that facility, she was talking about 1,000 people, which would increase our population tremendously. Now, it's a wonderful, important site there with the train there and the infrastructure there originally set to help serve, originally 5,000 people, but it's a thought, and she would like informal feedback before she goes forward, but she would need a lot of enthusiasm from the town of Amenia to make this come off. She would be looking at the state to donate the land to this nonprofit, which would take, it's currently off the tax rolls. There are lots of things to consider. So you could ask her to come in and give a full description. That's what I said. I didn't think it was possible for the state to do that, but she's assured me that.
We're actually working with them now with the Economic Development Corporation, State of New York, Dutchess County.
Yeah. Moving that forward. Right.
So they're into it pretty heavy at this point.
So do you think she should approach them and see if
I don't think that's going to be part of it.
They wouldn't have any part of it. Is that the sense of the rest of the board, that it's really not appropriate at this time, given?
I don't know if it's not appropriate. I would just be concerned about weighing impacts of, well, yes, there were a lot of residents there. They were residents that, they were on the campus, whereas these people moving in, whatever kind of housing, whether it's market rate or affordable housing, it's going to have impacts, traffic impacts. I mean, that's a lot of people who are going to have cars likely, and then it's going to be a property that remains off the tax rolls. So that'd really be my concern. But I'm interested in hearing what she has to say.
Okay. Are there others interested in informally meeting with her to kind of get further information? It seems a very seriously ambitious project.
I would have a lot of questions, so I wouldn't mind meeting informally. I just,
okay.
I don't want to see it, off the tax rolls. If
Ideally, right.
Ideally, I mean, it's such a great facility for income
Well,
for
and
the
another
town.
thing, the state of New York is not leaving.
They're not going to
State
sell
of New York
that.
is not going to leave. The 400 jobs are staying.
Yeah, it's a lot of jobs at stake.
So that's.
The whole campus is not available, in other words.
It's not available. We've worked that detail out with them. They're going to stay. we're gonna keep that payroll in the town of Amenia.
Yeah, but the jobs might not be on that site, though.
Correct,
They're
but
gonna
the
be around town. So they would likely give up that property, wouldn't they?
No, they're gonna keep that, they're gonna sell the property, but they are gonna keep the 400 positions there. They
So
wanna,
the property is available.
Portion of the property is available.
correct,
is
but
that right?
a new building can be built for their 400 employees. That's what they wanna do. They do not wanna leave that facility.
I think more appropriate.
It's brand
No,
new.
that's what I'm asking. But, well, the other
I
part
don't
of
know.
it
I know
is-
they're doing all the studies now for the state and for the county. That's a question that they have with the wells and so that's all being done.
What the ability is.
What the,
Yeah, infrastructure can handle.
correct.
Is that right? Okay.
You know, Shope still owns the other property that could be brought back into the thing. So,
And she envisions using that property as well.
good luck.
Yeah,
Considering,
that's a hard one.
but considering Wingdale has been vacant for
Yeah,
20 years.
It's very difficult, so I don't know if we should waste any
vacant.
time
So
on
you're
it.
wasting your
Well,
time.
exactly.
yeah.
That's why
Whatever
it's worth exploring.
we as the
Okay.
board
Anyone
decide.
has ideas, I mean,
It's ultimately the state that's
Okay.
Right,
holding
right.
it.
Basically, anybody who wants to meet with her individually can.
I would just have
This
some
point.
questions, but my time is so limited, I just think, let's see how it plays out with the state.
We're meeting again this month, so
Yeah.
we've met every month, so, we've had some very good conversations, so we'll see what happens with the Economic Development Corp.
Okay, so you'll be meeting on this specific subject and.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see, the fountain is working on and off again. We've had the expert come and take a look at it. He's come up to speed with the different issues. We're trying a variety of things, but now that you've had a bid for sealing the fountain, that seems to be one of the issues. The water is evaporating or leaking out in a tremendously fast rate, which causes the pump to flip the breaker switch because it doesn't want to overheat trying to pump no water. So there's one of the things that might be one of the reasons. We've cleaned it. We've blown out the hoses apparently. So, we've done that. There's just lots of reasons that seem to be giving us trouble. And I'm apologizing. We're trying to do the best we can to keep the fountain working, but on and off again we succeed. I would like to say that there's a fellow named Peter Jimco, Jimco, who died in November, who was very helpful in helping Orpha and the seniors put on their senior picnic for years and years and years. And he was a young man who suddenly passed away. And I had meant to honor him last year. We didn't quite get it done for all his years of service to the senior citizens, putting on this picnic. And in addition, whatever Orpha needed, packing, cleaning, setting up tables, chairs, he did it cheerfully and was a delight to be around. He just gave and gave and gave. So I would like to make a motion that we posthumously deem him to be an honorary citizen of Amenia. I would provide a plaque to his family at our senior picnic that would honor him as an honorary citizen of Amenia because he did a lot for.
We're going to have a memorial table there with pictures
So it'd be
in his
just like our
memory.
Citizen of the Year award, only it would be a honorary citizen.
I think that's a nice gesture.
Yeah, I think so too,
Okay.
because
I'll
he
make
helped
that
for many
motion.
years.
Second?
I second.
Councilwoman Reamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Perotti?
Yes.
Councilman Haas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Doyle?
Yes.
And Supervisor Flood?
Yes.
Can you tell me his name again?
When's
His
the
name
senior picnic?
is Peter.
Saturday.
Saturday,
This coming Saturday?
Yes.
yes, the 11th.
J-I-M-C-O.
You're serving at 12:30. Write
Okay.
it down.
Let's get your apron ready.
Okay, I just want to say also that we want
It's at
to,
3:30, right?
Yeah,
we want
I
to
don't think so.
follow
We'll be done by
up
then.
on our fund for the Hudson Valley, Community Foundation of Hudson Valley. I know we've been very busy, but maybe we should decide which vehicle we should use, whether it's a series of funds or a foundation under the umbrella of Community Foundation of Hudson Valley for Amenia fundraising?
I've been working with it I've talked to a couple of people about being on the board of directors.
Okay,
So give me a week and we'll
Okay.
finalize it.
okay. And then we'll get back to Andrea.
Correct.
Andrea.
If you could shoot an email that, I've asked some people, there was a question that if the person has to be a resident of the town.
That's a good question. I'll ask Andrea. Okay.
Would like to sit on the board, but is not a resident.
I don't see why they would.
Okay. They're property owners, but they don't live here.
Yeah, I don't see why that would be
I can't imagine that being a problem.
necessary.
It's not, I don't think it's a problem, but
Okay.
I'll check and make sure. I think it's up to us no, it's
No.
not up to us. It's
No.
not up, it's up to them. Okay.
What?
And then, dance program starts September 15th, and the walking tour is Saturday, September 22nd at 10 o'clock at Gridley Chapel.
What is it, 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock is a walking tour of historic Wassaic. 10 to,
When?
10 to noon on Saturday, September 22nd, part of the Hudson Valley Ramble. And we have somebody who's doing a history all lined up to do the agricultural history of Maxon Mills and the Luther Barn if she's able to bring that period, part of the picture in.
Bill, I'd like to call him and meet with him at Fountain Square, Aramis.
Yep.
And you have his certificate?
I don't have it. He said he'd bring it.
Okay.
I think wait a minute, we're missing a copy here.
My one comment, Dutchess County is updating their pedestrian and bike plan, and I'm going to a meeting on Monday to make sure that we're represented and not forgotten out on this side of the county.
Good, thank you.
That's it.
We need a motion to close. Is there any more public comment? Yep. Yep. As soon as we're ready, yeah, yeah.
Is this another one?
We're not quite ready, but we're. Stand by.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second that motion.